Previously in chapters 1741 to 1760, Wang Lin devastates the Guiyi sect, earning the secret admiration of Grand Emperor Xian Luo, who decides to take him as a disciple. After eliminating the all-seer, a sentient fragment of the heavenly Tao, Wang Lin uncovers the shocking truth. His world is a cave, and his disciple Xianxia is the third soul, carrying the sovereign and Appo's memories. To aid his master and prevent the fusion of evil clones, Xianxia sacrifices himself to open the cave and Appo's core. Wang Lin enters a deadly game in the 300 destroyed worlds, enslaving the White Tiger General and utilizing the ghostly sail to execute a scheme within a scheme trapping the seven-colored Taoist in an illusion to prepare for a decisive counterattack. There was a beast on the immortal astral continent named the Eye Fish. Its head was mostly taken up by its open mouth, and its body looked something like a 10,000-foot-long mud snake. The beast liked to devour earth and absorb the essences of the earth to nourish its body, and spiritual energy to nourish its soul. Young eye fishes often remained in silts of rivers and never revealed themselves. As time passed, adult eye fishes could reach 10,000 feet in length. They would drill through the silt and enter the earth. Then they would travel underground to a nearby mountain and sleep. On the immortal astral continent, most of the eye fishes were sealed by sex as protector beasts, but they were not loved by cultivators. When they entered a mountain, they would fuse with it. Although that gave the mountain a spirit, the mountain would soon turn into yellow sand. These eye fishes that stole celestial energy had to be sealed. In truth, almost all the eye fishes that were found on the immortal astral continent were immediately sealed. Wang Lin was sitting on the desert of this planet. The wind howled as large sandstorms were kicked off. The storms covered the world and made everything look dim. Wang Lin learned about the eye fishes from the memories of the third soul. The seven-colored celestial sovereign had brought a young eye fish to the 300 destroyed worlds and intended to raise it here for a while before retrieving it. However, he had died and shattered, so the eye fish remained here. Wang Lin had detected the aura of the beast and spotted the desert planet while he was escaping. This made him decide to return to this place. Wang Lin grabbed a handful of yellow sand and felt a trace of spiritual energy. His divine sense spread out and found the aura of a beast deep inside the planet. These various signs on the surface revealed that the beast below was likely the eye fish. An eye fish that was able to grow without restrictions and live in this world for so long. There are bound to be mutations. This is the only planet in this world, meaning the other planets have already been absorbed by the eye fish. This final one. Wang Lin's divine sense withdrew and everything about the planet appeared in his mind. I can set up an ambush here. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and glinted with a cold light. His right hand formed seals and countless restrictions appeared to form the realm-burning umbrella. The moment the umbrella appeared, a heat wave rushed out and spread across the sky. The clouds scattered as a giant umbrella appeared in the sky. After the umbrella opened, the canopy fused with the umbrella's pole. It was like a pillar that connected the sky and the earth. Wang Lin looked up at the burning umbrella and bit the tip of his tongue to spray out blood. The blood seemed to be burning as it flew toward the sky. Thunderous rumbles echoed and then the umbrella slowly disappeared. Even the giant umbrella pole became transparent until no trace of it remained. The realm-burning umbrella fused with the void, making it impossible to distinguish them. However, anyone who entered the planet would be shrouded in the fire. This was the first ambush. Wang Lin's breathing was a bit rushed. Even with his late-stage spirit void cultivation, using this spell was difficult, especially when he wanted to display more of its power. It should be able to display more power. Wang Lin raised right hand and pointed at his left eye. The fire essence in his left eye appeared and fire raged. He waved his right hand and a sea of fire flew out from his left eye. The sea of fire turned into a fire vermilion bird and flew into the sky. The fire vermilion bird was too big, and its tail feathers spread open like a phoenix. After circling a few times, it disappeared from the world. Wang Lin closed his eyes and calmly cultivated for a while. Then he suddenly opened his eyes. His hands formed seals and he began to mutter. A moment later, seven-colored light erupted from his hands. This seven-colored light looked the same as the spells from the seven-colored Taoist. Now that Wang Lin was using the spell, it was even more dazzling, and the light covered every part of the planet. 7-colored Dao Lance. Wang Lin let out a roar and his arms opened. The sky rumbled as the 7-colored light gathered in the sky to form the 7-colored lance. This lance gave off a shocking aura and let out a hymn once it appeared. Then it flew toward Wang Lin and stabbed into the earth to the right of Wang Lin. This was the second ambush. After using these two powerful spells back to back, Wang Lin looked tired, but he didn't stop. He pointed to between his eyebrows and a shadow appeared over him. The shadow gradually separated until his original body and avatar split. The original body with the ancient Dao inheritance flew into the sky, and his right hand reached out. The world changed color as the heaven-splitting axe appeared. Wang Lin's original body grabbed it and disappeared. The full power attack of the ancient Dao inheritance was the third ambush. After the 3 ambushes, Wang Lin's expression looked dim and his breath became rapid. He adjusted himself for half an instant of time before opening his eyes once more. He waved his right hand and the ghostly sail appeared. This object came from the immortal astral continent and was a powerful treasure. Although Wang Lin hadn't fully comprehended it, he could still use it to cast illusions. Wang Lin pondered for a moment before he bit his left index finger and dripped blood on the ghostly face. His blood was quickly absorbed by the ghostly face. In just 3 breaths, half of his blood was absorbed, causing Wang Lin's face to turn pale. At the 4th breath, the ghostly face stopped absorbing blood and its eyes revealed a demonic light. Wang Lin held the sail up and waved it. The ghostly face flew out and let out a silent roar. Its body expanded until it enveloped the planet and disappeared. After the ghostly face disappeared, the world seemed to change, but it was very difficult to find what the issue was. This ghostly face illusion was Wang Lin's 4th ambush. Wang Lin's forehead was covered in sweat. He wiped away the sweat and took a deep breath. He pointed at the sky with his right hand and a roar echoed across the world. There was a small ghostly dot, and it rapidly expanded into the nether beast. This beast's body hadn't expanded completely. It was only 1,000 feet large. However, its cold and ruthless eyes could cause anyone's heart to tremble. As Wang Lin pointed, the nether beast closed its eyes and its body became thin. It eventually turned into fog and shrouded the world. The entire world seemed to become blurry inside the fog. This nether beast was Wang Lin's 5th ambush. Wang Lin's cultivator avatar sat down on the yellow desert, feeling very tired. This was the first time he had used all these spells at once. If it was during a normal battle, he would never have the time to use them all, but right now it was possible. There is still the 6th ambush. Wang Lin silently pondered and raised his left hand. The blood flowing out of the tip of his finger had already clotted, but he tore it open again. Then he drew a circle of blood around him. The moment the blood circle was formed, Wang Lin spat out a mouth of his essence energy onto it, causing it to be filled with the smell of blood and dense origin energy. As the smell of blood and origin energy spread out, the entire planet trembled. This tremble came from the heart of the planet and fused with the ground. The sand on the planet moved like waves. Then Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and bloodlines appeared in his eyes. A large amount of bloodlines appeared and fused with the circle of blood, hiding the aura coming from it. After a long time, the movement on the earth slowly dissipated and Wang Lin let out a breath of relief. The eye fish is my 6th ambush. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and there was a hint of golden light in his eyes. This golden light contained an extremely rich celestial bloodline. This was the only celestial blood Wang Lin had left. His right hand reached toward the void and there was a flash of golden light. The Li Guangbao appeared and he grabbed it. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. After a long time he closed his eyes and began to simulate what could happen. The Li Guangbao was his last ambush, the 7th ambush. These 7 ambushes created this shocking trap. Time slowly passed. In a flash, another incense stick of time went by. Wang Lin opened his eyes and no longer hesitated. He waved his left hand and an unlit black incense stick appeared before him. Holding the incense stick, he waved it and ignited it. Black smoke quickly flew into the air like signal smoke. This didn't end. After the incense was ignited, Wang Lin threw it out, and it landed 30 feet away in the yellow sand. The fire flickered and the black smoke became even more dense. Wang Lin's left hand reached toward the void again and he pulled out Xianxia, who had her eyes closed. Wang Lin didn't feel any pity as his finger landed between her eyebrows. She revealed a painful expression. Combined with her beautiful face, it could move anyone's heart. But Wang Lin's eyes were still cold, and the moment his finger landed between her eyebrows, her eyes opened. Xianxia struggled as her right hand moved out of her control and grasped at the void. The message jade appeared in her hand. Holding the jade, Xianxia struggled even more, but she could not control her body. She sent out a message and the jade shined brightly before shattering. The 7 ambushes had been set, and with the burning incense stick and jade, he had set the bait. Now he just needed to wait for the prey to arrive to set off a great battle on this planet. Wang Lin didn't think he could kill the 7-colored Taoist and old ghost Xian, but he didn't need to kill them. Sometimes severely injuring someone had the same effect. After all, whether it was old ghost Xian or the 7-colored Taoist, if one of them was seriously injured, it would be a great opportunity for the other. As the incense stick burned, the situation in the 300 destroyed worlds changed. An old man wearing a rough blue robe was moving through a world, but he suddenly stopped. He looked up and his eyes revealed a strange light, whose battle incense was ignited. Could that person have found something? The old man's body trembled and a vortex appeared before him. He followed the aura of the incense stick. A middle-aged man wearing a purple robe was sitting on a planet as if he was carefully looking for something. His nose suddenly moved as if he had caught a scent. His eyes lit up and he left without hesitation. All the 7 Dao sect disciples noticed the incense, and they all moved. There was also the 6th and 3rd concubines that had entered the core of this cave world. They were in different worlds but they both noticed the incense. The 6th concubine's eyes were filled with resentment as she had barely survived Wang Lin's attack. She clenched her teeth and followed the smell of the incense. As for the 3rd concubine, her expression was cold and her eyes were complicated. She hesitated and didn't know if she should go or not. She had come here with a different purpose than everyone else. She just wanted to go home. She missed her hometown and her teacher. She wanted to leave this cave world and return to the immortal astral continent. While hesitating, she bit her lower lip and disappeared. Aside from igniting the incense stick, there was also the jade. The moment the jade shattered, the Azure Dragon General, the Black Tortoise General, and the Vermilion Bird General all detected this and followed the message. There was also old ghost Xian, who had been following the group of cultivators with doubt building in his heart. The moment the jade broke, his expression immediately became gloomy and he looked back. His eyes revealed killing intent and he immediately turned around. As for the 7-colored Taoist, as he continued to move, the barrier between the worlds could no longer last. The barrier collapsed, but 7-colored light shined and reinforced the collapse. The 7-colored Taoist stood there with nothing before him. The moment the barrier collapsed, Wang Lin's aura disappeared. The 7-colored Taoist immediately guessed what had happened, and his eyes flooded with monstrous anger. He let out a roar of rage and turned around. Wang Lin, I won't give up until I kill you. The 7-colored Taoist took a step and instantly disappeared. The incense and jade were like Wang Lin announcing to everyone where he was. It was like dark smoke on a clear day. It could clearly be felt by everyone. The 7-colored Taoist also noticed and closed in at full speed. Wang Lin's avatar calmly sat there and held the Li Guang bow with his right hand. The bottom of the bow was stuck 3 inches into the sand. Holding the bow, Wang Lin closed his eyes. From a distance, he no longer looked like a cultivator but a hunter waiting for his prey. After a long time, many vortexes appeared in this world. A large amount of people that were looking for him appeared. Aside from White Tiger, the 3 generals appeared. The 6th and 3rd concubines also appeared. The 7 Dao sect disciples all arrived with an old man wearing a rough, blue robe leading them. The Sovereign and Dao Master Blue Dream appeared in this world, both looking tired. They looked at each other with coldness in their eyes. It was clear they had battled each other in the 300 destroyed worlds. Many cultivators came to this world, but none of them closed in on the planet Wang Lin was on, even though they clearly felt Wang Lin's aura the moment they appeared. The 3rd concubine looked at the planet in the distance with a complicated gaze. She didn't know if she was friends or enemies with Wang Lin. She couldn't figure it out. Shortly after, the old man named Ma from Planet 5 Elements arrived, followed by the rest of his people. Their gazes swept past everyone and then looked at the planet in the distance. Just at this moment, a giant vortex appeared and was torn apart by the 7-colored light that came through. The 7-colored light lit up the area and the 7-colored Taoist appeared. Almost at the same moment the 7-colored Taoist appeared. Old Ghost John walked out of the void. They were 10,000 feet apart, and after looking at each other, they withdrew their gazes. A cold snort came from the 7-colored Taoist before he headed toward the planet. Old Ghost John was slightly behind as he moved toward the planet. Everyone else also flew forward, following them. Only the people from Planet 5 Elements remained there and coldly looked forward. The third concubine hesitated and didn't move forward. The 7-colored Taoist was the fastest. With one step he arrived outside the planet. He looked at the planet and frowned. With his cultivation level, he obviously saw what was awaiting him on the planet, especially the beast that even he dreaded. All of this made the 7-colored Taoist stop and hesitate outside the planet. This planet can't be refined. Once it's refined, the beast will be provoked and it won't be worth it. This Wang Lin presumably waited here because of it. The moment the 7-colored Taoist stopped outside, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His gaze was calm. He raised his left hand and hit his forehead. There was a flash of ghostly light and Wang Lin took out the third soul. Wang Lin released his hand and the third soul floated out. Its aura wasn't contained at all, and it spread out. For others, the lure of the third soul wasn't nearly as strong as it was for the 7-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John. When the third soul appeared, it was like placing their lifelong hopes and dreams before them. It was within their grasp. This kind of temptation was not something they could resist. Anyone who can get within 10 feet of me can take this soul. Wang Lin's words echoed across the planet and became a thunderous rumble. The 7-colored Taoist's eyes were red. At this moment he didn't need to be concerned about any possible ambushes on the planet, and he charged forward. He thought that with his strength, as long as he didn't draw the attention of the beast sleeping inside, there was nothing to worry about. Since he set ambushes here, he has basically trapped himself here. The 7-colored Taoist took one step and entered the planet. Old Ghost John could not resist the temptation. He entered the planet almost at the same time as the 7-colored Taoist. The rest of the cultivators hesitated but also closed in. They didn't want to compete, but they could not give up the chance to watch. In particular, the Azure Dragon, Black Tortoise, and Vermilion Bird charged out and entered the sky of the planet. Facing all of them, although Wang Lin's eyes were calm, his heart was boiling. His eyes were filled with battle intent, and he clenched the Li Guang Bao even tighter. I wonder how many people I can kill as a sacrifice. Wang Lin looked up at the sky, and at this moment the sky rumbled. The clouds moved apart like waves. Wang Lin saw the 7-colored Taoist, Old Ghost John, and the rest of the cultivators. The first ambush, Realm Burning Umbrella. The umbrella refines all. Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and pointed at the sky. The world trembled and the entire sky turned red. This red wasn't blood but the light from the fire. A sea of fire appeared out of nowhere and shrouded the world. Ripples echoed in the sea of fire, and a huge ancient umbrella appeared. The umbrella separated itself from the sea of fire in the sky. The umbrella pole that had disappeared reappeared, looking like a heaven-supporting pillar. The umbrella canopy covered the sky and blocked the path of everyone's retreat. Tao Master Blue Dream was forced out by a force from the realm-burning umbrella. It was as if everyone who was not part of this slaughter was being pushed out. After all, in the slaughter that was going to happen, Wang Lin had no time to worry about Tao Master Blue Dream, so he chose to stop him outside. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the expressions of everyone who was blocked by the realm-burning umbrella changed. The 7-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John were the same, but they didn't have much time to think. The monstrous fire that covered the sky raged toward them. The realm-burning umbrella was not a spell of this cave world, and it had fused with Wang Lin's fire essence. Ethereal fire spread out and began burning the minds of the cultivators trapped here. Since learning the realm-burning umbrella, this was the first time Wang Lin was using it without any restrictions or care. Wang Lin had learned this spell from the madman. First open the umbrella, then close it to kill. Close 30%. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy and let out a roar as he waved his left hand. The sky rumbled and the giant umbrella in the sky slowly closed. As the umbrella closed, the fire inside became even hotter, and the temperature had reached a terrifying degree. Just 30% caused 3 of the 7 Dao sect disciples who hadn't reached the third step to begin burning from the inside. They were instantly burnt to ashes. Close 60%. Wang Lin let out a roar and the veins on his face swelled. He closed the umbrella to an unprecedented 60%. The umbrella closed rapidly and screams echoed. This time, even the expressions of the 3 generals changed. They could have never imagined that Wang Lin could possess these powerful spells that were even rare on the immortal astral continent. Close 80%. Wang Lin's limit was 80%, and the moment he said that, his face turned pale. The life force in his body depleted rapidly and his face aged a lot. At the same time, the umbrella suddenly closed. Miserable screams echoed. It was unknown how many people died. The 3 generals' minds trembled and blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. They used their full cultivation to resist the power of the fire, and they moved at full speed to try to rush out of this sea of fire. The 7-colored Taoist and old ghost Xian were both gloomy. Even they had to spend some effort to resist this fire. After all, although their cultivation levels were high, their bodies were not like the ancient ones. The 7-colored Taoist had inherited the spells of the 7-colored celestial sovereign. This included the realm-burning umbrella as well. Although it was different from the one Wang Lin was using, no one else here knew it better than him. At this moment, he let out a roar and rushed out of the sea of fire. He charged straight at Wang Lin, filled with killing intent. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. After reaching 80%, Wang Lin knew he had hit his limit and couldn't close it 100%. However, Wang Lin was content with the effect of the realm-burning umbrella. As the 7-colored Taoist charged out, Wang Lin waved his left hand. The world trembled and the earth trembled as 7-colored light shined around Wang Lin. The 7-colored light shot into the sky and connected with the 7-colored light around the 7-colored Taoist, who was the first to rush out of the sea of fire. This 7-colored light connected the earth and the sky. A 7-colored lance charged out from the earth beside Wang Lin. It was like a 7-colored dragon as it charged at the 7-colored Taoist. This development was too sudden. The instant the 7-colored Taoist walked out of the sea of fire, his pupils shrank. He waved his sleeve and the lotus that had lost 2 petals appeared. Just like how he had blocked Wang Lin's blade, the lotus petals closed, surrounding the 7-colored Taoist. However, the 7-colored Taoist's lotus couldn't stop Wang Lin's 7-colored lance. Like the realm-burning umbrella, both were spells not from the cave world. If one could display a majority of the spell's strength, it was already very powerful. The lance instantly closed in on the lotus. The moment they collided, the 5 petals of the lotus collapsed one by one. As the pieces shattered, the lotus itself also shattered. The gloomy 7-colored Taoist was revealed. He instantly waved his right hand and an identical 7-colored lance appeared and collided with Wang Lin's lance. Rumble, 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 rumble. A heaven-shattering rumble echoed. The collision of the 2 lances set off a massive shockwave. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's third ambush appeared. As the impact shattered, Wang Lin's original body appeared. The stars between his eyebrows and in his eyes all rotated until they formed a vortex. The ancient Dao shadow appeared behind him. His original body grew until it was 10,000 feet tall and fused with the shadow. He held up the heaven-splitting axe, and as the lances collided, he chopped down. With the chop, the heaven-splitting axe flew toward the 7-colored Taoist. At this moment, Old Ghost Xian walked out. Old Ghost Xian's eyes lit up and were filled with greed. As Wang Lin's original body swung the axe, he charged toward the third soul before Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin had set 7 ambushes, so how could he let Old Ghost Xian do as he wished? Although Wang Lin couldn't match Old Ghost Xian's cultivation, he had ambushes prepared. Just as Old Ghost Xian got within 1,000 feet, Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and pointed. The 4th ambush, Ghostly Blood Sail. Old Ghost Xian suddenly stopped and confusion arose in his eyes. A thunderous rumble echoed as a blood-colored fog appeared before him. The fog turned into a red, ghostly face and devoured Old Ghost John. This illusion could trap even the seven-colored Taoist, so Old Ghost John couldn't avoid it either. When Old Ghost John was devoured by the ghostly face, he immediately sat down, and his expression constantly changed. At the same time, Wang Lin's axe closed in on the seven-colored Taoist, and the sound of the axe flying through the void echoed. Wang Lin knew this blow couldn't injure the seven-colored Taoist, so he was willing to destroy the weapon. The heaven-splitting axe shattered into pieces, and the destructive force rushed out. Wang Lin's original body collapsed and blood splattered everywhere. However, with the ancient immortal body, his body rapidly recovered as he retreated toward his avatar. By the time his original body overlapped with his avatar, he had recovered completely. However, blood still streamed from the corners of Wang Lin's mouth and fell on his white robe. It was a shocking sight. As for the seven-colored Taoist, his hair was a mess and his eyes were filled with madness. He stepped toward Wang Lin. At the same time, the three generals and the sovereign had rushed out of the sea of fire. However, right after they rushed out, they stopped, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. They could have never expected to see such a scene. Old Ghost John was surrounded by a red cloud of fog, and was sitting there with a distorted face 1,000 feet from Wang Lin. The seven-colored Taoist's hair was a mess. He looked like he was in a sorry state, as if he was crazy. They didn't see what had happened earlier. They were only exposed to the result. Their hearts were filled with horror. The sovereign was filled with disbelief as he knew how powerful the seven-colored Taoist and Old Ghost John were. Those two people had actually ended up in such a sorry state before Wang Lin. This caused his heart to tremble. The Azure Dragon General gasped and looked at Wang Lin with a sense of dread he never had before. This kind of thing became even more shocking when there was a comparison. The Black Tortoise's face turned pale and he looked around. He remembered Wang Lin's heavenly Tao, and fear rose in his heart. He even felt some regret coming here. The Vermilion Bird General's feeling was more complicated. It was difficult to suppress the shock in his heart. There was also the sixth concubine. She had barely escaped the sea of fire and was injured. Now that she saw this terrifying scene, her fear for Wang Lin resurfaced. However, in truth, Wang Lin had already used 5 of his 7 traps and was injured. Both his avatar and original body were seriously injured. If it wasn't for him holding on by a breath, he would have already fallen unconscious. He had arrived here first and had set up an ambush, but he was still injured to such state. This just showed how powerful the seven-colored Taoist was. The seven-colored Taoist's killing intent toward Wang Lin had reached its peak. At this moment he rapidly closed in and raised his right hand. He wasn't even going to grab the third soul but was going to kill Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face was pale, but his eyes were calm. As the seven-colored Taoist closed in, Wang Lin still held the Li Guang Bao with his right hand and pointed at the seven-colored Taoist with his left. Heavenly Tao, devour the world. At this moment, the world trembled and a giant rift appeared before the seven-colored Taoist. From a distance, this rift looked like a large mouth. The nether beast appeared, and it suddenly opened its eyes, revealing the coldness and ruthlessness within. As the seven-colored Taoist closed in, it devoured. Once the nether beast opens its mouth, it devours all life. A few of the 7 Tao sect disciples struggled free from the sea of fire. Just as they got free and caught a glimpse of what was going on, they were sucked into the nether beast's mouth. Even a portion of the sea of fire in the sky was devoured by the nether beast. The 3 generals' expressions changed greatly, and they solidified their bodies to resist. However, the 6th concubine couldn't fight the suction force and was pulled into the nether beast's mouth as she screamed. The sovereign was completely startled. He looked at the nether beast with a pale face. When he first saw the nether beast, he had his guesses. The scene of his master being devoured was something he could not forget. When he first saw the nether beast, he hesitated and couldn't tell because of the nether beast's dumb expression. However, seeing those cold and ruthless eyes now, the sovereign didn't hesitate to retreat. The expression of the seven-colored Taoist changed and he suddenly stopped. He stared at the nether beast with eyes filled with shock. Heavenly Tao! The nether beast was not complete, so it couldn't devour people who were too powerful. Wang Lin knew this, but he had still made it the 5th ambush just to shock the seven-colored Taoist. After all, Wang Lin could not use the stop spell on the seven-colored Taoist. He could not withstand the backlash that would cause. As a result, he could only summon the Nether Beast to create an effect similar to the stop spell. Sixth ambush. Wang Lin revealed a grim smile, but this smile was very weak, and blood continued to flow out from the corner of his mouth. This made his smile very dark and grim. Wang Lin's left hand hit the ground. The method that the white tiger used to control strength that Wang Lin learned from the second-generation vermilion bird echoed through the ground. The vibration stimulated the sleeping mutated eye fish deep underground. Also at this moment, the blood circle Wang Lin had drawn flew into the air and the restrictions disappeared. The smell of blood and origin energy were no longer hidden and completely erupted. This blood circle flew toward the seven-colored Taoist. Just as the seven-colored Taoist snapped out of his shock, the blood circle exploded. The aura of the blood circle surrounded the seven-colored Taoist. The planet rumbled, and a dominating roar that had been sleeping for countless years came from deep inside the planet. At the same time as the roar appeared, the yellow sand on the planet surged upwards. The yellow sand fell like rain and formed a curtain. At the same time, the muffled rumbles from underground surged upwards. As the roar echoed, the entire planet began to tremble. The yellow sand before Wang Lin began to sink, and the roar became even more clear. In a flash, a snake-like beast rushed out from underground. It was a giant beast covered in earth, and it was 10,000 feet thick. It was like a giant earthworm, and the part that stuck out was its mouth. From afar, it looked like its mouth covered most of its face. It opened its mouth and charged at the seven-colored Taoist. The beast's eyes were still closed, as if they were permanently closed. If it had many tentacles around its body, it would look like the moongazer serpent. However, right now it looked very different. The beast instantly closed in on the seven-colored Taoist. Just as it was going to devour the seven-colored Taoist, his hand formed a seal and slapped the beast. The seven-colored palm hit the head of the beast and a thunderous rumble echoed. The beast let out a fierce roar and was pushed back 1,000 feet. However, its head twisted and shrank, and stopped itself before inhaling. As it inhaled, the seven-colored Taoist's body trembled. Large amounts of seven-colored light were pulled out from his body, absorbed by this beast. The seven-colored Taoist's expression changed and the expression of the three generals also changed. The appearance and aura of this beast was very powerful and set off a wave in their hearts. When the three generals and the sovereign saw this beast, they immediately recognized it. Eye fish. This is actually an eye fish. I had already noticed that this place had a fierce beast, but it is actually an eye fish. An eye fish that grew without any restrictions. Countless years have passed for this beast to grow. The sovereign took a deep breath and looked at the eye fish with a serious expression. The immortal astral continent has a beast named the eye fish. From the moment the fish is born, until it dies, its eyes never open. However, there is a legend that says that once their eyes open, the world will change colors. The black tortoise general looked at the eye fish and thought of a series of rumors. The eye fish moved and charged at the seven-colored Taoist. This beast held grudges, and the seven-colored Taoist's palm had brought it great pain. It charged forward and began to devour once more. The beast's body was too big, and the part that had come out of the ground was only a small portion. Even so, when it charged forward, it covered the sky and created a large shadow. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of the seven-colored Taoist. He raised his right hand and formed a seal as he pointed at the sky. Power pull the mountain. The seven-colored Taoist roared and waved his right hand. A giant seven-colored arm appeared in the dark sky and reached toward the eye fish. In a flash, the giant arm grabbed the eye fish. The seven-colored Taoist let out another roar and the arm pulled up. The earth rumbled and the eye fish's 100,000-foot body was pulled out from the planet by the illusory hand as it struggled. After being pulled out, it was mercilessly smashed into the earth. The planet violently trembled as if it was going to shatter. The eye fish's giant body landed on the ground. Large amounts of purple blood sprayed out and mixed with the yellow sand. A miserable cry came from the eye fish's mouth. Its closed eyes trembled as it struggled to open them. In the end, it wasn't able to open them, as if there was an invisible force preventing it from opening its eyes. However, That miserable scream caused the planet to tremble even more violently. Just as the seven-colored Taoist turned toward Wang Lin, his expression changed greatly. The planet trembled and thunderous rumbles echoed. In the other 8 deserts on the planet, monstrous roars rang out. The yellow sand swelled up like mountains from all 8 deserts and all rushed toward this place. The 8 large mountains formed a straight line and closed in at a rapid pace. In an instant the 8 mountains arrived, and the yellow sand collapsed to form 8 giant shadows. These weren't mountains at all but 8 eye fishes that were 100,000 feet long. This planet didn't just have 1 eye fish but 9. Aside from the first one that was seriously injured, the other 8 came out of the planet and surrounded the seven-colored Taoist. They all opened their mouths and charged him. The earth trembled and the yellow sand scattered. Wang Lin was still sitting there, and he put away the third soul. His right hand still held the Li Guang bow, and he was like a statue. He remained motionless with the bow in hand. He was waiting for a chance to attack. This attack would shock the heavens and make the ghost gods cry. Right now this chance had arisen. The moment the 8 eye fishes charged at the seven-colored Taoist, Wang Lin suddenly stood up. His right hand raised the bow and his left hand pulled the bowstring. In an instant he drew the bow until it was like a full moon. The arrow appeared on the bowstring the moment it was fully drawn. The arrow pointed at the seven-colored Taoist and a destructive aura spread out. Wang Lin didn't hesitate at all to release his left hand. The bowstring mercilessly rebounded and the arrow shot out toward the seven-colored Taoist. When the Li Guang arrow shot out, the world changed colors, the clouds scattered, the earth trembled and the sky dimmed. An indescribable killing intent shot out with the arrow and tore open the sky, the world, and every obstacle as it shot toward the seven-colored Taoist. The sovereign's expression turned deathly pale and he rapidly retreated. He had been killed twice by this arrow, so the pain was engraved in his heart. Those 3 generals' eyes were filled with fear. They had also felt the might of this arrow before. Now that they saw it again, their scalps went numb. Wang Lin had shot the arrow at a very clever moment, just as the 8 eye fishes pounced. The seven-colored Taoist's expression changed and his pupils shrank. He let out a roar as his hands formed a seal and 7-colored light enveloped his body. Just at this moment the 8 eye fishes closed in. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, Wang Lin's Li Guang arrow pierced the 7-colored light and landed on the body of the 7-colored Taoist. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the star system. The planet collapsed and countless pieces of rubble flew in all directions. Wang Lin retreated and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but he still held onto the bow in his hand. The 3 generals were hit by the ripples of this arrow and coughed out blood. They retreated in panic away from the planet. However, just at this moment, an angry roar echoed and the 8 eye fishes were covered in purple blood as they were pushed back over 10,000 feet. The 7-colored light around the 7-colored Taoist became distorted and immediately dimmed. The 7-colored Taoist inside was revealed. His chest was a bloody mess. The arrow had pierced his chest, but the 7-colored Taoist had caught the end of the arrow, so it couldn't pierce through and destroy his body. The 7-colored Taoist's face was pale, but his expression was fierce. He mercilessly pulled the arrow out of his chest. Blood sprayed everywhere. Combined with his fierce expression, it was a shocking sight. However, just as he pulled the arrow, the 8 eye fishes let out heaven-shattering roars. Their bodies trembled as their blood spread out, and their closed eyes opened a sliver. All 8 eye fishes' eyes opened a sliver, and black light spread out. The 8 eye fishes charged angrily at the 7-colored Taoist. This time their bodies were covered by the black light from their eyes, making them look far more powerful than before. Wang Lin held the bow in his left hand and a faint, golden light appeared in his eyes. He didn't hesitate to draw the bow a second time. The arrow in the 7-colored Taoist's hand disappeared and appeared in Wang Lin's bow. He looked at the 7-colored Taoist and killing intent filled his eyes. His right hand loosened and the second arrow flew out like a ray of light. The people from Planet 5 Elements led by the old man named Ma were floating in the distance, not participating in this crazy battle. The moment they saw Wang Lin draw the bow twice and felt that powerful energy, their expressions changed. The pupils of the old man named Ma shrank and his face was filled with terror. This was the first time he had seen Wang Lin use the Li Guang bow, so the feeling of shock was very strong. The Li Guang Bao is actually in his hands. I see now. When he went to Planet 5 Elements, aside from relying on the heavenly Tao, his biggest ace was this Bao. Yunifeng's expression was calm, but a huge wave was set off in his heart. He clenched his hand to cover up the panic in his heart. He felt fortunate that he hadn't forced Wang Lin to take out this Bao. He wasn't confident he could withstand one blow from it. The moment the second arrow shot out, the golden light in Wang Lin's eyes collapsed as if it was going to dissipate. However, just at this moment Wang Lin forced it to reform and retained a sliver. This sliver was the last of his celestial bloodline power. Wang Lin was worried that others would see, so he closed his eyes when he shot the second arrow. Wang Lin understood he still had the power for one more shot, but it would be the last shot. The arrow shot out and the world rumbled. Space folded like silk cloth as if it was about to collapse. The seven-colored Taoist let out a roar. The 8-eye fishes that had opened their eyes already startled him. When Wang Lin's second arrow shot out, the seven-colored Taoist was even more shocked, and he erupted his full cultivation. A seven-colored light spread out and 7 different colored layers of light screens appeared before him. Just as they appeared, the 8-eye fishes closed in. The 8-eye fishes shrank as they closed in. As the black light shined, they turned into 8 arrows. These 8 arrows were exactly the same as the Li Guang arrow. There was no difference, even the aura was same. Everyone here was startled by this. Could this be the rumored superpower the eye fishes have once they open their eyes? The old man named Ma from Planet 5 Element looked closely from the distance. Grand Emperor Xian Luo calmly looked at the 8-eye fishes. He was the only person who knew about the superpower the eye fishes had. Once the eye fishes opens their eyes, they can take the form of anything and obtain part of its power. However, it is very difficult for this beast to open its eyes. These ones in this cave are very interesting. Xian Luo's eyes lit up with a hint of interest. The 9 Li Guang arrows mixed together, making it impossible to figure out which one was the real one. They shot straight for the 7-colored Taoist. His expression changed quickly, and the 7-colored light screens around him distorted as thunderous rumbles echoed. The 7-colored light screens collapsed, and along with them the 9 Li Guang arrows collapsed as well. However, they didn't dissipate. They reformed into the 8-eye fishes. They landed not far from where the first one was, and all 9-eye fishes were on their last breath. This collapse created a shockwave that covered one's vision and divine sense. The 9th Li Guang arrow penetrated everything and headed toward the 7-colored Taoist. A miserable groan came from the shockwave, and thunderous rumbles echoed. When the shockwave dissipated, the 7-colored Taoist could be seen. He coughed out blood and there was a fist-sized hole in his chest. He had been seriously injured by the Li Guang Bao. He let out an angry roar and charged forward. Disregarding his injuries, he charged toward Wang Lin. He was filled with killing intent and a sense of madness. This old man would give up the third soul to kill you. The 7-colored Taoist let out a roar and his hands formed a seal. 9 blinding suns appeared around his body. These 9 suns were the 7-colored Taoist's most powerful spell. He used it without hesitation to kill Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale. At this moment, he was like a dried-up oil lamp and was very weak. He gritted his teeth as he raised the Li Guang Bao with his left hand and drew it with his right. This was his 3rd time, and Wang Lin knew it was likely the last time. The bowstring was pulled back and the arrow appeared once more. There was still blood on the arrow. Wang Lin's right hand loosened and the arrow shot out for the 3rd time. When the 3rd arrow shot out, Wang Lin immediately closed his eyes to hide the golden light that was completely dissipating from his eyes. The 7-colored Taoist's chest was covered in blood. As the 3rd arrow closed in, his hands formed a seal and he waved his hand. There was madness in his eyes. He had never been this injured in his life. What was driving him even more crazy was that the person who had injured him was Wang Lin, whose cultivation level was far beneath his. What made him feel even more suffocated was that the Li Guang Bao that had injured him was something he had told the sovereign to gift out. He originally intended to give Wang Lin the bao to lure out Lian Daofei. Then once there was a feud between Wang Lin and Old Ghost John, Wang Lin would use the bao to injure Old Ghost John. After all, neither he nor Old Ghost John could use this bao, as they were incomplete. However, He didn't expect to be seriously injured by the Li Guang Bao. The madness in his heart made him disregard everything to kill Wang Lin. As his hands formed seals, the 9 suns shined brightly. They flew out and charged at the third arrow. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the third arrow collided with the 9 suns. The 9 suns collapsed, but the third arrow also showed signs of dissipating. A blinding light erupted and enveloped everything. The 9 suns exploded and a destructive force spread out. Their power was indescribable. The Azure Dragon General was too close, and the destructive force touched him. His body collapsed and he immediately died. The world began to shatter. This world was destroyed. However, this wasn't the end. This destructive force was the full power of the 7-colored Taoist, and the 300 destroyed worlds could not resist it. As the destructive force spread, the 300 destroyed worlds began to collapse one by one. The black tortoise's face was filled with terror, and he let out a scream as he retreated with the vermilion bird general. The sovereign turned pale and turned into a ray of red light as he escaped. In the distance, the expressions of the third concubine, Tao Master Blue Dream, and the people from Planet 5 Elements changed. They all retreated out of the first flower that formed the 300 destroyed worlds. At the center of destructive force, the 7-colored Taoist's chest trembled. The collision of the third arrow and 9 suns created a shockwave that rushed into his body. Blood sprayed out from his chest and he was seriously injured. However, his eyes were still filled with madness. You're so close to this destructive force. With your cultivation level, I want to see how you will resist it. Wang Lin was indeed the closest, and the destructive force closed in on him. Worlds were collapsing, and even with his ancient Tao inheritance, he couldn't resist. As long as it touched his body, he would be destroyed. However, since Wang Lin dared to set this ambush, he was naturally prepared. He had expected this destructive force to appear. As the destructive force closed in on him, his hands formed a seal and his right hand reached at the void. I'm sorry. Wang Lin let out a sigh. A monstrous golden light burst out and the sleeping madman wearing a messy robe appeared before Wang Lin. The madman had the complete immortal celestial body. Even if the star system collapsed, his body wouldn't be injured. The madman was still sleeping and had never awakened. He felt a bit uncomfortable from Wang Lin grabbing his shoulder, so he twisted a bit and continued to sleep. However, just at this moment the destructive force arrived and hit the madman. The madman's body shined brightly and remained unscathed under the destructive force. However, the madman's body trembled and his eyes slowly opened. His eyes were filled with confusion and a hint of anger. He was still not awakened and was half asleep. He began to roar angrily at the 7-colored Taoist, who was in front of him. Who is it? Who dares to disturb this king's sleep? You're all bullies, this king will tell his big brother. The madman roared at the 7-colored Taoist, not even noticing that Wang Lin was holding his shoulder and using him to block most of the destructive force. You're all too much. You all dare to tickle this king while I'm sleeping? You! As the madman roared, he actually began to snore. His head tilted and he fell asleep once more as if everything he had said before were merely just him sleep-talking. However, his appearance and words caused a great deal of chaos in the surrounding area. The 7-colored Taoist was seriously injured, and after he saw Lian Daofei, his expression changed. His mind became sober. He didn't know how many times Wang Lin could shoot the Li Guang Bao, and if Wang Lin teamed up with Lian Daofei, he might actually die here. Now that he was seriously injured, he clenched his teeth and, for the first time since he began fighting Wang Lin, chose to escape. In the distance, old Ghost John, who was surrounded by the ghostly sail, had already opened his eyes, but he chose not to come out of the fog. He had witnessed everything and his eyes were shining. It was unknown what he was thinking. In the distance, the escaping sovereign trembled and almost tripped when the madman roared. Master! There were also the escaping Black Tortoise General and Vermilion Bird General. Their eyes were filled with shock as they looked at the madman that Wang Lin held up. Lian Daofei. These three weren't the only ones that were shocked. In the distance, the third concubine instantly turned pale and was dumbfounded for a moment. There was also the people from Planet 5 Elements led by the old man named Ma. They all trembled. The old man named Ma looked at the madman with indescribable fear in his eyes. He is actually here. The old man named Ma didn't know that Lian Daofei had come here in the past. His heart rumbled and his mind went blank. Grand Emperor Xian Luo was walking toward the 9 fishes. He had taken the 5th fish when he suddenly stopped and carefully looked at the madman. His eyes revealed a mysterious light. Lian Daofei, Lian Daozhen's younger brother. He also came here. Thanks to using the madman as a shield, the destructive force was weakened to a point where Wang Lin's ancient Dao inheritance could resist it. As the madman went back to sleep, Wang Lin rapidly retreated toward the 9-eye fishes. Wang Lin moved very fast and arrived next to the 9-eye fishes while holding the sleeping madman. When he looked over, his pupils shrank. He saw that only 4 of the 9-eye fishes remained. The other 5 had disappeared. Wang Lin didn't have time to think, so he waved his sleeve. 3-eye fishes were taken by him. Just as he was about to take the 4th one, it disappeared before him. Wang Lin's scalp went numb and he looked toward where the eye fish had disappeared. There was nothing there. Only the sound of the collapse of the 300 destroyed worlds echoed. Xian Luo stood there and looked at the cautious and surprised Wang Lin, revealing a proud smile. Seeing Wang Lin's expression, his smile became even wider. Wang Lin's eyes flashed an indiscernible amount. He knew a secret about the eye fishes. It was something the 7-colored sovereign had discovered after he began raising them in the 300 destroyed worlds. Wang Lin had found it in the memories of the 3rd soul. If there were 2 eye fishes, 1 male and 1 female, a connection would be made between the 2. This connection would exist even if one went into a storage space or a barrier. This connection would last until death. Wang Lin quickly thought of everything and retreated without hesitation. Just at his moment, old Ghost John, who had long become sober but stayed inside the fog, walked out. After walking out of the fog, old Ghost John had 2 choices before him. He could either kill Wang Lin and take the 3rd soul, or chase after the 7-colored Taoist and use this once-in-a-lifetime chance when the 7-colored Taoist was seriously injured to fuse their souls. Although this fusion wouldn't be complete without the 3rd soul, it would only be containment and not fusion, but there wouldn't be any regrets. Although his cultivation level would remain the same, there would be no one to contest him for the 3rd soul. Both choices held great temptation for old Ghost John. If he first tried to kill Wang Lin, he would still be afraid of the Li Guangbao. He wasn't sure how many shots Wang Lin could still use, and if he wasted too much time, the 7-colored Taoist would recover, so it wouldn't be worth it. However, he was unwilling to let Wang Lin go. He wanted to hit 2 birds with 1 stone and capture both of them here. This hesitation only lasted for a moment before old Ghost John walked out of the fog. At this moment, Wang Lin's hoarse voice echoed across the collapsed 300 destroyed worlds. Old Ghost John, how many shots do you think I have left? Wang Lin spoke with a gloomy tone as he carried the madman and retreated into the vortex. Even as he disappeared into the vortex, he still coldly stared at old Ghost John. The illusion around old Ghost John was blurry, but he also stared at Wang Lin though didn't chase. He couldn't figure out how many shots Wang Lin had left. He was always cautious and wasn't willing to gamble. Wang Lin had chosen to seriously injure the 7-colored Taoist instead of old Ghost John because, according to his analysis, the 7-colored Taoist was more emotional. After all, his soul had only inherited the spells, whereas old Ghost John had inherited all the comprehension, so it was likely that old Ghost John would be more rational. If it was the 7-colored Taoist, Wang Lin couldn't accurately judge what decision he would make, but if it was old Ghost John, Wang Lin would be 80% confident. This was the most satisfactory result he could get from these 7 ambushes. Wang Lin wasn't arrogant enough to think he could kill the 7-colored Taoist, but he could use the opportunity to display his might. He had created many disadvantages for the 7-colored Taoist and even seriously injured him before luring old Ghost John to act. On the one hand, him fighting the 7-colored Taoist was to scare old Ghost John so that old Ghost John wouldn't act rashly. On the other hand, he had also prepared a great gift for old Ghost John. Everything would depend on whether old Ghost John would accept the gift or not. In truth, although Wang Lin's plan had flaws, it made old Ghost John hesitate even more. After Wang Lin disappeared, old Ghost John's eyes lit up. He turned toward where the seven-colored Taoist escaped and rushed out with greed in his eyes. The sovereign had witnessed everything from a distance, and his eyes lit up. He vaguely saw through something, and his heart skipped a beat. He didn't speak to remind old Ghost John but began to scheme his own plans. The moment Wang Lin entered the vortex, the 300 destroyed worlds all collapsed. In the core of the cave world, all the dew on the yellow flower inside the furnace turned to gas and dissipated. Then the large flower slowly withered. Wang Lin didn't know if the remaining people had lived or died. After he disappeared from the vortex, he disappeared from where the first flower was and appeared in another world. Right after he appeared, blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth and his face was pale. He put away the sleeping madman and didn't have time to heal as he looked around. This place was dim, but there was a flower giving of a ghostly light and a chill. This chill came from ice. This flower was a frozen flower. 5 flowers, 8 doors. This is the name of the defense mechanism of the core of the cave world. Wang Lin stared at the frozen flower. Although he didn't have much information from the third soul, he knew the name of this defense. The 300 destroyed worlds was the first flower, and this frozen world was the second flower. Perhaps the remaining flowers were damaged or had even dissipated, but Wang Lin couldn't see them, so he couldn't make any good guesses. The so-called 8 doors were hidden in the last flower. Wang Lin had learned from the third soul that the key to opening the last flower was the memories from the third soul. Among the 8 doors, 7 were fake and only 1 door was real. That door led to the immortal astral continent. The reason they were on the last flower was because the 5th flower was the seal on the door. Staring at the frozen second flower, Wang Lin hesitated, but soon his eyes were filled with determination. His body fused with the flower and he slowly disappeared into the ice. He was already seriously injured, and he entered the second flower without healing. The cold energy surrounded him. When his body appeared in the frozen world, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The moment his blood sprayed out, it froze and fell to the ground. Wang Lin staggered onto the ground and raised his head to look around. As he looked around, he became startled. This place was a frozen world. The earth, sky, and even the clouds were all frozen. The floating continents were hanging like giant icicles. What place is this second flower? Wang Lin's expression was serious as his divine sense spread out. He didn't find any information about this place from the third soul. As his divine sense spread out, his eyes gradually shined. There was a lot of life force in this world. This life force was inside this frozen world as if it was sleeping. Wang Lin even felt a familiar ancient god aura here. A moment later, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed and he looked to his left. The ancient god aura coming from that direction was very strong. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin suppressed his injuries and moved to the left toward the ancient god aura. After an incense stick of time, Wang Lin stopped. He let the cold wind hit his face as he looked ahead. 100,000 kilometers before Wang Lin, it was another frozen world, and there sat a woman with long hair. She faced Wang Lin, and between her eyebrows were 7 ancient god stars. The stars slowly rotated and gave off bursts of ancient god aura. Female ancient god. The spatial rift outside of planet Dongling. The woman's eyelashes trembled and she slowly opened her eyes. She calmly looked into the distance and saw Wang Lin. Their gazes collided. "Welcome to the Dongling sect." The woman spoke softly. Her voice was very beautiful as it echoed through this frozen world. 100,000 kilometers away, Wang Lin silently pondered. Wang Lin remembered why this ancient god aura was so familiar. When he killed the Xiang family ancestor on planet Dongling, he felt this aura. This place is planet Dongling? Wang Lin took a step and ripples echoed under his feet. He crossed 100,000 kilometers in one step and arrived 1,000 feet away from the female ancient god. The woman looked at Wang Lin with a mysterious light hidden under her calm gaze. After hearing Wang Lin's words, she shook her head. "This place is the Dongling sect, not planet Dongling. We have met before. My name is Wang Lin. I wonder what your name is." Wang Lin looked at the woman, especially at the 7 stars between her eyebrows, and sat down. The woman softly said, "Yun Na, the Dongling sect's god elder under the celestial sovereign." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slowly said, "Whether this place is planet Dongling or the Dongling sect, Why is it in the second flower? You're the first person to enter this frozen world from the entrance in the core of the cave. I can feel Master's soul in you." The woman's words were soft, but when Wang Lin heard them his heart skipped a beat. "Master." Wang Lin didn't speak, but he looked at Yu Na, waiting for her to continue. "This is the second flower of the 5 flowers 8 doors. Everything here was created by Master, including me, who contains a drop of Yimo's heart blood. This is the Dongling sect, and it was made from Master's memories. It should be exactly the same as the Dongling sect on the immortal astral continent. My master is the 7-colored celestial sovereign. In his early years he was a disciple of the Dongling sect, but due to some reason he was kicked out. He then created this place to remember his old sect. Everything here is nourished by Master's life force. Once he dies, everything here will lose its life force and be frozen. You're the first person to enter this place and you have Master's soul, so you are the master of this place." Yun Na spoke softly as she looked at Wang Lin. "You're injured. I have the last of Yimo's heart blood. Once you fuse with it, you will be complete, and you should be able to use it to heal." Wang Lin silently pondered and sat not far away from the woman. Her words echoed in his heart. He had not heard of this before. After all, he had not fused with the third soul. Looking around, this place was covered in endless ice, similar to what the woman had said. A moment later, just as Wang Lin was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed and he looked into the distance. He saw bursts of fuzzy ripples echo. This was caused by someone else entering. The woman also noticed the ripple and quickly said, "You're the first person to enter this place, so you are the master here. If you wish, this place will become a formation that stops everyone else from moving forward. However, if the person who rushes in is too powerful, it can't hold them off for long." After she finished speaking, she looked at Wang Lin. After she saw Wang Lin nod, she waved her hand. Crackling sounds echoed and ice appeared out of nowhere. It began to spread with this place as the center. A thunderous rumble swept across the world. Wang Lin saw that the entire world was quickly frozen. This ice had no cracks, making it seem as if this entire world had turned into a piece of ice. As cold energy spread everywhere, the world was dim. The several people that had just entered were sealed by the ice that had suddenly appeared. They remained motionless. The continent Wang Lin and the woman were on was one of few places in this world without ice. The ice can't last for long. There is someone with a high cultivation level and master's aura coming in, the ancient godwoman said softly as she looked at Wang Lin. She pointed to between her eyebrows with her right hand. A vortex appeared between her eyebrows and a drop of blood condensed on her fingertip. After forming this drop of blood, the woman immediately felt weak. "Absorb this drop of Yimo's origin soul blood and your injuries can recover." After she spoke, she flicked the drop of blood toward Wang Lin. It stopped 7 inches away from him and gave off a dazzling red glow. Wang Lin looked at the drop of blood. It gave off Yimo's familiar aura. This drop should be the last of Yimo's heart blood. Once Wang Lin absorbed it, his inheritance would be more complete. However, he didn't immediately take the drop of blood but frowned at the now weakened female ancient god. Wang Lin slowly asked, "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're the moss." The female ancient god smiled but was interrupted by Wang Lin. Wang Lin stared at the woman and asked once more, "Why?" The female ancient god pondered a bit and reminiscence filled her eyes. After a moment, she spoke with a melancholy voice. "I'm formed by Yimo's heart blood by Master and now I guard the Dongling sect for Master. I was given the position of God Elder. However, too much time has passed. The demon and devil elders have died in their frozen sleep. The rest of the people will slowly die if Master's life force doesn't nourish them. Since you can enter from the core of the cave with Master's soul, you must have broken into the 5 flower 8 doors. You want to find the real door to leave this cave world. If you open the door, I hope you can help me leave this place." The woman bowed as she spoke to Wang Lin. Her long black hair scattered like a waterfall as she bowed. It was very beautiful. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then slowly nodded. "I can help you." Wang Lin's right hand grabbed the drop of blood. In truth, while talking to the woman, he was rapidly healing. At the same time, he was using a portion of his divine sense to examine the drop of blood. Only after he was certain that there was no problem did he agree. Holding the blood, Wang Lin suddenly pressed it between his eyebrows. When the drop of blood entered his forehead, his mind rumbled. However, he kept a portion of his divine sense to observe his surroundings. If the woman did anything, he would kill her. Yimo's origin soul blood entered his body and fused with him. This was indeed Yimo's blood. It didn't cause any rejection in Wang Lin's body and rapidly fused with him. As Yimo's powerful life force entered his body, popping sounds echoed inside Wang Lin. His ancient god, ancient demon and ancient devil stars appeared. They rotated rapidly to absorb the power from the blood. In the distance, Xian Luo smiled as he looked at this scene. His gaze went past Wang Lin into the ice in the distance. This place is a great fortune for him. Forget it, I'll help him get enough time. Xian Luo raised his right hand and pointed at the ice. A power that only belonged to him silently entered the ice. The ice became tens of thousands of times stronger than before. I'll give you as long as you want. Xian Luo smiled and sat down. This time he wasn't looking at Wang Lin but the female ancient god. No matter what the origin, you are still from my ancient Dao clan in the end. My ancient Dao clan doesn't have many women, and this woman is worth cultivating. She can become my only disciple's maid. It's a good match. Xian Luo rubbed his chin and such a thought appeared in his mind. The drop of Yimo's blood rapidly spread through Wang Lin. Wang Lin's heart trembled as popping sound echoed inside him, and his body expanded to over 1,000 feet. The ancient Dao power inside the blood was like a great nourishment for Wang Lin. This was especially good since he was injured. It slowly filled Wang Lin's body, making it even more powerful. After his bones fused with the blood, his body was even stronger and more resilient. It was even more difficult to break than before. His flesh and blood gave off an even more powerful physical force as he fused with the blood. An even more terrifying aura spread out from his body. When the female ancient god felt this, her eyes narrowed. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but monstrous waves were set off in his heart. Now that Wang Lin had all of Yimo's heart blood, that meant Yimo's origin soul was now complete, and it existed inside Wang Lin's body. As Wang Lin cultivated, Yimo's shadow slowly appeared behind him. This shadow was similar to the one that appeared behind Wang Lin when he battled, but its purpose was very different. The shadow that appeared when Wang Lin battled was due to him having an incomplete inheritance. He was unable to keep the inheritance hidden, so a trace of it would slip through to create the shadow. However, the shadow around him now wasn't formed by his cultivation but by Wang Lin's mind. To be more precise, this was Yimo's origin soul. Yimo's origin soul had become complete when all the heart blood had gathered. His shadow gradually solidified like a real person and floated behind Wang Lin. It was very strange. At the same time, Yimo's aura came from his origin soul. This aura was heaven-shaking. But any member of the 3 ancient clans that was born from his bloodline would feel like they were facing their ancestor when they felt this aura. The pressure coming from the soul and spirit was enough to make any of the 3 clans formed by Yimo's blood tremble and worship. The female ancient god was still an ancient god after giving Yimo's heart blood. That meant that she still had some of Yimo's ordinary blood in her body. Under this pressure, the female ancient god turned pale. She slowly knelt down on the ground and remained motionless. Xian Luo looked at Yimo's soul behind Wang Lin with a hint of pity and sighed. That child Yimo was pretty talented to scatter his blood into this cave world to form the 3 clans. Luckily, Wang Lin appeared, so Yimo has done good. It's just that if you want to take Wang Lin's body, it's impossible. Xian Luo closed his eyes. If he hadn't come for Wang Lin and instead had encountered this, he would have helped Yimo. However, now he had already made his choice. Yimo had scattered his blood along with some of his origin soul blood. Once his origin soul blood had been gathered, his origin soul would reform and he could possess the body. Since the body would belong to one of his descendants, there would be no chance of failure. However, Wang Lin was different. He had obtained the recognition of the ancient ancestor and the ancient ancestor's soul blood. As a result, he was in existence even more noble than Yimo, so Yimo couldn't succeed. At this moment, Yimo's origin soul turned into 7 strands of smoke and entered Wang Lin's body through his orifices. The moment Yimo entered, Wang Lin opened his eyes, but his expression was calm. He had noticed this during the previous integration and was aware of what was happening, but he knew Yimo could not possess him. At this moment, Yimo's origin soul entered Wang Lin's body. After 3 hours, Wang Lin let out a deep breath. His body gradually shrank under a ghostly light until he was the size of an ordinary person. His eyes were as deep as the stars. Yimo's origin soul had dissipated inside Wang Lin's body. Yimo could not resist the ancient ancestor's soul blood, and had slowly become part of Wang Lin's ancient Dao inheritance. Wang Lin's injuries had completely recovered. This drop of blood and Yimo's origin soul had a great effect. Otherwise, Wang Lin would have needed several months or longer to slowly recover. At this moment, Wang Lin's ancient Dao inheritance was mostly complete. The only things left were the left eye and the heart buried in the ancient tomb. There was also the left arm. Xian Luo exclaimed. At that moment, Wang Lin's gaze crossed with his as if Wang Lin was looking at him. This surprised Xian Luo. However, soon, Wang Lin's gaze swept by as if it was just a random coincidence. Wang Lin's breathing was calm. Right now, not only had his injuries recovered, but he felt like he held the power of the world. It was as if he could destroy this world with just one punch. His ancient Dao power made Wang Lin feel very comfortable. This was the real inheritance. It was obvious that not every inheritance would be extremely painful. The ancient Dao power echoed through his body. It moved through every inch of his blood and flesh, making Wang Lin feel like he controlled the world. His origin soul seemed to have obtained enough nourishment from his body. His body gave off a gentle light as if he was ready to use a spell at any moment. The effect of one drop of blood would not produce this effect, but if this drop allowed him to reach a level of completion, then it was completely different. Wang Lin felt the difference in his body. Although his 3 ancient clan powers were still at 8 stars, they were even stronger, and the light from the stars was even more intense. Wang Lin vaguely felt a call from deep within this frozen world. This call was the same as when he felt Yimo's right arm. Wang Lin hadn't noticed anything before he had absorbed the last drop of blood. As Wang Lin calmed his ancient Dao power so that none of it would leak out, the female ancient god slowly sat up. She looked at Wang Lin with awe in her eyes. At that moment, Wang Lin was like the ancestor of the 3 ancient clans, which made her heart tremble. Many thanks. If I can find the real door, I'll definitely help you leave this place. Wang Lin got up and clasped his hands at the woman. The female ancient god nodded and didn't speak. What is sealed there? Wang Lin pointed to where he was feeling something calling him. That is the back mountain of the Dongling sect, and where the Dongling pool is. However, it was only created from Master's memory, so it doesn't have any power. The female ancient god looked up with confusion in her eyes. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked over. After pondering a bit, he flew into the air. I'm going to check that place. I thank you for today. I clearly separate my grudges and thanks. Our grievance from before is over, and I still owe you. I'll help you leave this place. Wang Lin clasped his hands at the female ancient god and flew toward the ice that was calling him. The ice was surrounded by cold energy, but this didn't stop Wang Lin. The ice only had an effect on other people, and for Wang Lin it was like flat ground. As Wang Lin moved through the ice, even he felt cold. However, as long as he cycled a bit of his cultivation, this sense of coldness would dissipate. The ice was like a mirror. It vaguely reflected his figure as he moved, making it seem like a vague false shadow was following him. Wang Lin only took a glance and moved forward like nothing had happened. This place was very big, but with Wang Lin's speed, it only took half an incense stick of time before the call got even more clear. It was less than 100,000 feet away. Although the world here was sealed, Wang Lin could see that this place was a tall mountain surrounded by ice. After crossing the mountain, Wang Lin could see a large pool behind the mountain. This pool was like a lake, but it was also sealed. A faint sense of celestial energy surrounded the pool. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he carefully moved forward. A moment later, he arrived above the pool and looked down. His pupils immediately shrank. Although the pool was frozen, it was translucent. If one looked carefully from above, they would see something inside the pool. It was a giant arm, a left arm. Yimo's left arm. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes shined brightly. When he came here before, he had a guess. He originally thought it was Yimo's left eye, but he didn't expect it to be the left arm. After I fused with Yimo's right arm, the heaven ripping spell could rip apart third step cultivators. If I fuse with the left arm and use the heaven ripping spell, its power. When Wang Lin thought of this, his heart started pounding. He stomped his right foot in an attempt to enter the ice, but a rebound force came from the pool. His body trembled and he wasn't able to enter the ice. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the ice below. This place was very strange and different from the other ice here. Dongling Pool. This place should be the Dongling Pool. I just don't know what's so mysterious about it for the seven-colored celestial sovereign to recreate it. Wang Lin carefully looked at it but found nothing. The frozen pool looked very ordinary. He knelt down and placed his right hand on the ice. He gently pressed down and cracking sounds echoed. Cracks appeared as the frozen pool shook. However, just as the cracks appeared, cold energy came out and the ice returned to normal. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and blood light shined as the blood sword appeared. With a bang, the blood sword flew toward the ice. A depression appeared in the ice and countless cracks spread, but they all recovered in an instant. Wang Lin sat on the ice pool and his gaze penetrated the ice, landing on Yimo's left arm. He gradually saw through some clues. This pool of ice has fused with Yimo's left arm, so the ice has Yimo's recovery ability. Even if it's destroyed, it will recover instantly. Wang Lin didn't think this in his head but muttered it as if he was talking to himself or someone else. Xian Luo had his hands behind his back and was floating above the pool. He was also looking at the ice, and when he heard Wang Lin's words he smiled, revealing a strange light in his eyes. It couldn't be entered and couldn't be broken. Wang Lin frowned as he let out a cold snort and his 5 fingers formed a claw. This ancient Dao power gathered in his 5 fingers, and the 5 fingers gave off a ghostly light along with dense ancient Dao aura. Immortal ancient Dao. Wang Lin let out a roar and countless overlapping shadows appeared over his right hand. Thousands of shadows seemed to appear, and the moment they all overlapped to form one, Wang Lin's right hand reached toward the ice. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. As Wang Lin's hand grabbed the ice, the countless shadows that had disappeared suddenly reappeared. This claw was like Wang Lin striking countless times. With the immortal ancient Dao, Wang Lin attacked the recovering ice. Wang Lin let out a roar as his fingers clawed into the ice and pulled out a palm-sized piece of ice. Holding the ice, Wang Lin carefully looked at it and burned it with his fire essence, but he couldn't melt it at all. His eyes narrowed and he felt that there was a strange force inside this ice. Wang Lin found this force similar to an essence. But there was a difference. It was as if this place wasn't sealed by ice, and if he soaked inside the pool, his essences would benefit greatly. However, not only was this power weak but it also faded in and out. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and his eyes revealed enlightenment. This place had been created by the 7-colored celestial sovereign from his memories and nourished by his own life force. This Dongling Pool likely existed on the immortal astral continent, and its effect was likely nourishing essences. The 7-colored celestial sovereign's cultivation was limited, so he could only emulate the aura but not the effect. Wang Lin pondered for a while and put the ice into his storage space. It was very strange and didn't melt inside his storage space. Instead, it gave off a chilly aura. Staring at the ice, Wang Lin took a deep breath and raised his right hand. As the immortal ancient Dao filled his hand, he clawed at the ice once more. Thunderous rumbles echoed as time passed. Using this dumb method, Wang Lin took several hours to create a tunnel into the ice. In half an incense stick of time, the last rumble echoed. Wang Lin clawed out a piece of ice and exposed Yimo's left arm. Only a palm-sized patch of skin was exposed. It was gray but gave off powerful ancient Dao aura that entered Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin took a deep breath and sat down. His left hand pressed against the exposed skin. The moment his left hand pressed down, Yimo's left arm gave off a ghostly light that penetrated the ice. This gave the ice a strange sense of beauty. This light continued to spread out in all directions. It ended up shrouding the surrounding 10,000 kilometers before dissipating. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin spread out part of his divine sense to check his surrounding as he slowly absorbed Yimo's left arm. With his experience from absorbing the right arm, Wang Lin was familiar with the process. After 3 days, Yimo's left arm slowly shrank. As it shrank, The ghostly light that had spread out over 10,000 kilometers shrank. When all the ghostly light returned, Yimo's left arm turned into a strand of smoke and entered Wang Lin's left arm. A sting of pain came from Wang Lin's left arm. He felt like something was drilling into his heart. Cold sweat broke from Wang Lin's forehead, but his expression remained unchanged. He slowly raised his right hand and looked at the gas that was drilling into his left arm. The gas seemed to have no end and continued to enter Wang Lin's left arm. Wang Lin's left arm gradually became rough, and complicated runes flickered on it. It wasn't until one incense stick of time passed that the last strand of gas entered Wang Lin's left arm. That feeling of being able to tear open the world that he felt when he obtained the right arm emerged in Wang Lin's heart. He slowly moved his 5 fingers on his left hand and cracking sounds echoed. After a long time, Wang Lin formed a fist and walked forward. He appeared at the center of the ice pool. Wang Lin raised both his hands and felt a powerful strength fill his body. After absorbing Yimo's left arm, a shocking change occurred to the 3 ancient clan stars between his eyebrows and in his eyes. This change was the sign of the 9th star appearing. A vague vortex had appeared. Wang Lin closed his eyes and felt the ancient Tao power and the powerful force in his body. A moment later, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the ice pool below. His eyes revealed a golden glow as his hands reached toward the ice pool and mercilessly ripped it. Heaven ripping! Wang Lin let out a roar and both his hands clawed at the void. His hands spread to both sides and the world rumbled. A giant crack appeared in the frozen pool. The moment this crack appeared, a heaven-shattering sound echoed. Layers of ice collapsed and ice exploded everywhere. The entire pool disintegrated. The earth trembled, and after the pool collapsed, a giant crack appeared. Thunderous rumbles rang out as the crack moved like an earth dragon and spread. An even more intense rumble echoed as the earth collapsed, and the earth dragon extended deeper into the ground. In the core of the cave, the furnace surrounded by black gas was covered in faces. Anyone that entered would have their face appear on the furnace. However, at this moment, most of the faces had disappeared completely. Even the 7-colored Taoist's face had disappeared completely. On the front and back, the faces of Wang Lin and Old Ghost John were extremely clear and surrounded by the black gas. At this moment, in the space the second flower was in, a crack appeared on the frozen flower's root. This crack continued to expand until it penetrated the flower. The heaven-ripping spell had ripped this world open. Wang Lin looked at the frozen world and stepped forward without hesitation. He disappeared into the earth. The 7-colored Taoist no longer needs to be feared. Now I need to deal with Old Ghost John. He is cautious and suspicious, so it will be difficult to deal with him. Wang Lin appeared in the space the third flower was located. This place was completely gray and had no trace of life. This place was completely dead. Even the third flower before Wang Lin seemed to be lacking water and had withered. The leaves were dry and the petals broken. It was dead. Staring at the third flower, Wang Lin knew he didn't need to enter. The third flower had been destroyed many years ago. After staring at the flower for a long time, his eyes lit up. In the end, he gave up setting up another ambush. That kind of ambush could only be used once. If he tried a second time, Old Ghost John wouldn't fall for it. With a sigh, Wang Lin stepped forward and disappeared before the dead flower. He went toward the space the fourth flower was in. When Wang Lin appeared in the space the fourth flower was in, he saw a black flower behind him. Black liquid was dripping from the flower, and after countless years, the liquid had formed a black ocean below the flower. This ocean was completely calm, without any wind or waves. Only the flower stuck out from the ocean. Staring at the black flower, Wang Lin smelled blood. This smell had been here for a long time, and when he smelled it, he felt a sense of decay. This smell of blood came from the dead ocean below him. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin knew time was of the essence. After hesitating for a bit, he stepped forward toward the black flower. Just as he was about to enter, Wang Lin stopped. He vaguely felt a roar coming from the flower. Wang Lin was familiar with this voice. Tua-san. Wang Lin was startled and his eyes became serious. He took a closer look at the black flower that covered most of the sky. His eyes lit up as he landed on a black petal and disappeared without a trace. Half an hour after Wang Lin entered the flower, everyone else arrived. When they saw the dead ocean below, their expressions became serious. However, they didn't hesitate much and all entered the world inside the fourth flower. The sky of this dim world was covered in endless fog. Below it was endless fog as well. The roars that came from inside the fog could make one's mind tremble. There were some platforms floating here, and they were of varying sizes. There were even dried-up bodies that looked like they had their flesh and blood drained until they were like skeletons. Wang Lin was standing on a platform. He looked around and revealed a bitter smile. He had to reveal a bitter smile. He knew this place. This was the ancient tomb that he got his ancient Dao inheritance from. I should have thought of this a long time ago. The seven-colored celestial sovereign created this place to bury Yemo. How could the seven-colored celestial sovereign have created this place for no reason? So it turns out to be the fourth flower. Wang Lin looked at this place with a complicated expression. He was very familiar with this place. No wonder I thought I heard 2C's voice. Isn't 2C inside the ancient tomb? Wang Lin pondered for a moment before walking to the end of the stone platform and looking down at the fog below. He remembered that there were several more layers below this fog. There was an extremely terrifying aura down there that had made him stop and leave. When he obtained Yemo's inheritance, he felt like there was a heart at the bottom layer. It was obviously Yemo's heart. Aside from Yemo's left eye, the only thing left is the heart. Wang Lin had obtained most of Yemo's inheritances. He knew that Yemo's body had already collapsed. Only his arms had been cut off and thus remained. If he could absorb Yemo's heart at the bottom, his inheritance would reach completion. Of course, this completion was missing the left eye. If he could absorb Yemo's heart, even without the left eye, it was likely that Wang Lin could form his ninth ancient god star. Even his ancient devil star might reach 9. As a result, Wang Lin would become a 9-star ancient god, and his ancient Dao power would erupt. 9-star ancient god. If I were to expand my body completely, how big would I become? Wang Lin closed his eyes to muse the pros and cons. Xian Luo was on the opposite side of the stone platform. He looked at the fog below and let out a sigh. This is where that child Yemo died. A moment later, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. They were filled with determination. Riches can be found in danger. Wang Lin had spent his life in dangerous situations in order to reach the cultivation level he was at today. Most of his power had been obtained through risking his life. So what if he risked it once more? In addition, due to the memories he had gotten from the third soul, Wang Lin had a guess on what the terrifying aura in the second-to-last layer was. Ancient tomb. Back then, I didn't dare to go to the next layer, but since I've returned, I can't give this opportunity up. Wang Lin made up his mind and stepped toward the fog outside the platform. He fell into the fog and dropped down. His head was pointed downward as charged into the depths like a fish. No one knew this place better than him. Wang Lin had obtained all the maps here back then, so he no longer needed to upgrade this platform. The map was in his mind, including the entrance to the next layer. If there was really one person whose understanding of this place was second to Wang Lin's, then it was the third concubine, who was still a virgin. At this moment, the third concubine was floating in the fog and looking around in confusion. After a long time, a complicated gaze appeared in her eyes. The fourth flower was this place. The third concubine had obtained most of the map to the first layer back then. It was also here that a ripple was set off in her calm mind. Here she had met Wang Lin. In the end, she had been sent out of here with Wang Lin's help, so she hadn't been sealed here. She liked to be alone and was not good at communicating with others. When she was forced to become the Seven Colors concubine, she had only agreed for the sake of her sect. She didn't have many friends on the immortal astral continent. Even back in the Heavenly Gate sect, she would spend most of her time cultivating. Due to her personality, she always moved by herself among the concubines. It could be said that Wang Lin was the first person to help her in her life. This feeling she had never felt before caused her to feel confusion and complication. She didn't even know the reason. He has helped me once, so I need to repay him. I want to go home. I wonder if teacher is still there. And also my little sister. She is more talented than me. The third concubine silently pondered and became homesick. When Wang Lin entered the tomb, inside the palace where he had obtained the inheritance, the person that was Tuasen or 2C opened his eyes. Inside the ancient tomb, Wang Lin was rapidly falling through the fog. The wind howled in his ears as he moved down. His divine sense was spread out, carefully observing his surroundings. There were many strange things inside the fog. Wang Lin understood this. He had seen most of the fierce beasts here as well. He changed his speed to avoid the nearby beasts and headed toward the second-to-last layer here. The second-to-last layer was where Wang Lin had felt the terrifying aura. However, the more he thought about it now, the more he believed that that aura was the seven-colored celestial sovereign's most powerful ace. The EC puppet. After Wang Lin entered the core of the cave, he would sacrifice them based on the method the seven-colored celestial sovereign left behind. After each sacrifice, he would feel his connection with it strengthen. He had killed a lot of people at this point, and thanks to that mysterious connection, Wang Lin was 80% certain that the terrifying aura belonged to EC. The purpose of the ancient tomb is likely to nourish the puppet. After the seven-colored celestial sovereign killed Yemo, he used him to complete this puppet. Wang Lin's eyes shined. With the help of memories from the third soul, Wang Lin had guessed most of it. As he moved forward, the fog gradually became thin. He was moving toward the entrance to the next layer. As he got closer, the fog became so thin, it could no longer block his vision, and black earth appeared below him. This earth was endless and was covered in black, algae-like vegetation. As the plants swayed, they released strands of black gas. This was a strange scene. There was no sun here, but there was ghostly light coming from the black algae. Wang Lin could clearly see everything around him due to this light. This place was completely silent. Even after Wang Lin arrived, the black algae continued to sway and release black gas without any change. His gaze swept past the vegetation on the ground, and he was wary. He was far too aware of the dangers of the ancient tomb. His divine sense was spread out as he carefully flew forward. In his memory, the map from back then showed the entrance was not far ahead. Half an incense stick of time later, as Wang Lin moved forward, the scenery before him changed. More than 100,000 feet away, there was an open area of 10,000 feet with no vegetation. There was an ancient transfer array built at the center. This formation had existed for an unknown amount of time and was still operational. However, it was silent and flashes of ghostly light came from it, giving off a sense of power. After seeing this transfer array, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Just as he closed in, a heaven-shattering roar came from the transfer array. This roar contained a terrifying aura that made Wang Lin's heart tremble, so he stopped. The moment the roar echoed, the algae in the area began to sway more violently. Large amounts of black gas were forced out and flew into the air. The earth began to tremble and move like waves. The sound disappeared slowly after a long time. Wang Lin's face was pale as he stood outside the formation and pondered for a long time. Then he looked up with determination in his eyes. If my deduction is correct, this shouldn't be too dangerous. On the contrary, it might be a great fortune for me. EC puppet. Wang Lin no longer hesitated and walked into the ancient transfer array. The moment he entered the formation, it activated. Ghostly light scattered in all directions and spread out to cover tens of thousands of kilometers. The third concubine was rapidly moving in the fog. She didn't know the exact location but had a sense of where it was. However, she suddenly stopped when she saw the ghostly light that pierced through the fog. Her eyes lit up and she immediately carefully moved toward the source of the ghostly light. After one incense stick of time, she saw the ancient transfer array on the ground. The third concubine hesitated outside the formation for a long time before she clenched her teeth and walked into the formation. In the second-to-last layer of the ancient tomb, the fog wasn't as dense as it was in the upper layers. Wang Lin was carefully moving through here. Although there was light, it was red and looked like fresh blood. Occasionally, roars would come from the surrounding fog and pairs of red eyes would stare at Wang Lin. However, with Wang Lin's ancient Dao aura, they didn't dare to approach. After all, the current Wang Lin was not the same as before. As long as he was cautious, there was no immediate danger. As he quickly moved forward, the fog around him moved quickly and a roar that sounded like it came from next to his ears echoed. This roar shook the entire world, and it felt like this layer was going to collapse. Wang Lin suddenly stopped. It was as if a powerful force had hit him along with the roar. It pushed him back 1,000 feet before the roar dissipated. Wang Lin's face was pale and his eyes shined brightly. That roar had shaken his mind, and he was almost injured. What a powerful aura. If that thing is really the EC puppet and I can use it. Wang Lin moved forward once more. Wang Lin gradually got closer to the source of the roar until he saw a mountain. This mountain wasn't tall, but it was covered by red fog. When Wang Lin got close and saw it, the red fog around the mountain began to move. It formed a giant head. This head had no hair and was bald. It was blurry, making it impossible to see its appearance. However, its mouth was open, letting out that shocking roar. The moment the roar appeared, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and waved. His essence appeared before him and his ancient Tao power filled his body to resist the power of this roar. At this moment he was hundreds of thousands of feet away, but even at this distance, the roar hit him with a powerful force. Popping sounds echoed as Wang Lin's essences were knocked back into his body. Wang Lin's face was pale and he was pushed back 10,000 feet before the roar dissipated. Blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. The head formed by the red fog seemed to melt before returning to the mountain. It is EC. Wang Lin stared at the misty peak. Through the connection in his heart, he was very certain. Unfortunately, even though I have killed a lot of people as sacrifices, it is not enough. If I want to control this thing, I need to kill one more powerful cultivator. Wang Lin frowned as he looked at the mountain before him. Just as he was pondering, he looked into the distance. It's her. Wang Lin's body flickered and disappeared as he hit himself. Shortly after, a golden light flashed and a giant golden door floated over. Behind the door sat the third concubine. Her face was pale and blood was flowing out from the corner of her mouth. She looked at the mountain before her with fear in her eyes. She didn't expect this layer of the ancient tomb to have something this terrifying. She clenched her teeth. Taking the moment when the mountain didn't let out another roar, she sent out a message. Wang Lin, I know you're here. I have no malice. I believe my power and spells can be of help to you. Please appear. The surroundings were completely silent. Only the churning of the fog in the distance gave off a muffled rumble. The third concubine's voice echoed. After seeing no reaction, her expression dimmed and she shook her head. The golden door slowly retreated, and she was ready to move to another location to search for Wang Lin. However, just at this moment, the fog on the mountain began to rumble and that faint shadow appeared to let out a roar. Under the roar, the world changed colors and layers of invisible ripples echoed across the air. The earth trembled and the sky distorted. The expression of the third concubine changed. She bit the tip of her tongue and spat blood onto the golden door. The door shined brightly to resist the roar, but it quickly collapsed. The third concubine's face turned pale and she immediately retreated. Then her hands formed a seal. There was a flash of golden light and 4 more golden doors appeared. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the 4 golden doors shattered one by one. The third concubine had borrowed this time to retreat more than 10,000 feet. She was about to use another spell to resist the residual shockwave when a cold voice chode. Why are you looking for me? As the voice echoed, Wang Lin appeared before the woman. He waved his right hand behind him to block the shockwave. Wang Lin's body was strong enough to resist this level of shockwave. Wang Lin. The third concubine was startled and joy appeared in her eyes, but she soon hid it. You once helped me inside the ancient tomb. This time I want to help you. No need, it is dangerous here. Don't stay here. Wang Lin stopped and looked at the third concubine. When he met her gaze, Wang Lin saw seriousness and persistence in her eyes. This was the feeling Wang Lin had. Wang Lin's cold expression relaxed a bit. With Wang Lin's wisdom, he could see that she really wanted to help him. He recalled when they met in the ancient tomb. After silently pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the woman's wrist. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and slowly said, "What is your request?" The third concubine whispered, "There is no request. You've helped me, so I'll help you once." Hearing her words, Wang Lin's expression became a bit strange. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin spoke softly. "It was a simple matter back then. You don't need to take it to heart. You helped me, so I'll help you." The third concubine raised her head and looked at Wang Lin. Her beautiful face had a unique charm at this moment. However, right now I don't plan on entering the mountain. Wang Lin revealed a rare smile. The third concubine was startled and didn't know what to say. What is your real name? Wang Lin looked at the sky in the distance. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. The third concubine hesitated for a bit and then softly said, Tang Shan, activate your 7 golden doors and step back a bit. Wang Lin's voice suddenly became cold as he looked into the distance. Tang Shan's eyes narrowed. Her cultivation level was not low, so she immediately noticed the abnormality. She listened to Wang Lin without hesitation and golden light shined around her. 7 golden doors appeared around her. A ray of light was charging toward this place from the distance. This ray of light contained a giant stone platform. This platform shined and a young man wearing blue was standing on top of it. Wang Lin's gaze instantly met with the young man's. After their gazes met, thunderous rumbles echoed in their minds. It was as if they had attacked each other with a spell when their gazes met. Wang Lin's body didn't move at all and he let out a cold snort. The young man's body staggered a bit and he took half a step back. He looked at Wang Lin with powerful battle intent. Wang Lin, I have finally caught up to you. I'm Yunifeng from Planet 5 Elements. Our last battle was rushed and not satisfying enough. Today, do you dare to fight me head-on without any schemes or the Li Guang Bao? The light disappeared from the stone platform. The young man in blue looked at Wang Lin. If you can beat me, I'll listen to all your orders while we are in the core of the cave world. Yunifeng stepped forward off the platform and faced Wang Lin. In his eyes, the third concubine, Tang Shan, didn't exist. Wang Lin was the only one in his eyes. Staring at Yunifeng, the coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. He was missing the soul of a powerful cultivator, and this person had come by himself. This would save Wang Lin some time, but this person's cultivation level wasn't that high. Wang Lin felt that just his soul wasn't enough. Back then, on Planet 5 Elements, he had matched Wang Lin's strength, but Wang Lin had just broken through the formation and was injured. Also, Wang Lin's heaven-ripping spell wasn't complete back then. Now Wang Lin was at the peak of his cultivation, and his heaven-ripping spell was heaven-shattering. Wang Lin didn't consider Yunifeng a threat. However, if this person followed through with his promise after losing, then Wang Lin would be moved. Wang Lin slowly said, Your words are meaningless. Yunifeng's eyes lit up and his right hand hit his forehead. A drop of oath of blood flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin accepted the blood and carefully looked at it. Yunifeng's eyes became cold and he raised his right hand. A giant blade appeared and he sliced at Wang Lin as he stepped forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed. This blade seemed to split the heavens and formed a ray of blade energy. The power of the world seemed to gather on it as it closed in on Wang Lin. The moment the blade descended, Wang Lin stepped forward with a cold snort. His right hand formed a fist and his ancient Dao power gathered as he threw a punch at Yunifeng. The world changed colors with this punch, and the entire world became distorted as if it was going to collapse. The ancient Dao shadow appeared and punched the blade. In an instant, the blade and punch connected. The blade collapsed into countless pieces. Wang Lin's punch also dissipated. Yunifeng's body was pushed back 1,000 feet, and he raised his right hand with a laugh. He waved his right hand and black light appeared before him, forming black fog. He reached into the fog and took out a blade. He sliced at Wang Lin and then reached into the fog once more. In an instant, 7 blades were taken out of the fog and sliced at Wang Lin. The 7 slices connected together to form a monstrous blade energy that flew toward Wang Lin. 8 blades cut the soul. Yunifeng roared and 7 overlapping shadows appeared. It was as if 7 copies of him had appeared, all holding the blade. The 7 of them attacked at the same time. These 7 blades connected together, and the vague signs of an 8th blade appeared. 2 blades for the handle, 4 blades for the body, and 1 blade for the tip. The world became distorted and dim. It was as if Yunifeng's most powerful spell was the only thing left in this world. As the 8 blades closed in, Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all. He raised his hands and ripped the sky. A giant pair of hands appeared before Wang Lin. This pair of hands was rough and covered in countless scars. It was Yimo's arms. As Wang Lin moved, these 2 arms grabbed the void and mercilessly tore the sky. Thunderous rumbles echoed and a giant rift was ripped open. This rift connected the earth and the sky. From afar, it looked as if the world before Wang Lin had collapsed. The rift contained an ancient aura and destructive force that could destroy the world. Rumbles echoed as the 8 blades collided with the rift. The blades collapsed along with Yunifeng's body. Shortly after, the second, third, and fourth bodies collapsed with the blade. You want to fight head-on? I won't even use the stop spell. You want a head-on fight? I'll give you a head-on fight. Wang Lin's voice was cold and echoed across the world. The moment Wang Lin's words echoed, his hands ripped at the sky once more and tore open the connection of the world before him. Thunderous rumble echoed as Yunifeng's 5th, 6th, and 7th bodies all shattered. A muffled groan echoed as smoke came from the 7 collapsed bodies and reformed into Yunifeng's original body in the distance. He coughed out blood and his face was deathly pale. He retreated a few steps and looked at Wang Lin with fear in his eyes. This fear was no less intense than when he saw the Li Guang bow being drawn. Is this battle head-on? As Yunifeng retreated, the rift before Wang Lin slowly dissipated. Wang Lin stood there with his white hair fluttering. He held the oath of blood Yunifeng had sent out. Yunifeng silently pondered. He felt bitterness in his heart as he nodded. The moment he nodded, the oath of blood in Wang Lin's hand gave off a dazzling red light. It slowly dissipated into Wang Lin's palm and became an oath. Yunifeng was a gentleman, so he didn't play any tricks with the oath of blood. Since he had lost, he had lost. He didn't know that this had saved his life. If he had tried anything, Wang Lin would have killed without hesitation, even if killing him would have wasted some time. However, at this moment Wang Lin had a better choice. He looked into the distance and felt 3 familiar auras closing in. They came just on time. Perhaps I can borrow his power to probe that person. Just as this battle ended, the fog around the mountain began to move and formed that bold head. A thunderous roar echoed. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by his ancient Dao aura, and he retreated more than 1,000 feet to resist it. Tang Xian had witnessed the battle before and quickly retreated with Wang Lin. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the sky in the distance distorted. A blurry figure arrived. Yunifeng, kill this person. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand reached out and there was a flash of bloodlight. The blood sword appeared and flew toward the blurry figure. A sun appeared before the blurry figure and gave off endless sunlight that collided with the blood sword. A thunderous rumble echoed as the blurry figure was forced to retreat, revealing the sovereign. The moment he appeared, Yunifeng clenched teeth and swallowed a few pills. He charged out and used the 8 blades cut the soul. 8 illusory blades appeared and connected together as they flew toward the sovereign. There was also Tang Xian. She didn't hesitate to form a seal as she waved her hand. 7 golden doors appeared before Yunifeng and 7 more also appeared before Wang Lin. Protection spell. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Most spells were forced on attack, and even protection spells could only be used on oneself. Those that could be used on others were extremely rare. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen one that could be used on someone else. The Heavenly Door sect that Tang Xian belonged to was only a small sect and not one of the 13 major sects, but it was still famous. The reason was that most of their spells were protection spells that could be used to protect others. Various spells closed in as the sovereign walked out. The sovereign was extremely cautious. Although he didn't know much about the ancient tomb, when he had the 7-colored Taoists save Miao Yin and company, he had learned some of the secrets here. That was why he could arrive here so quickly. He had witnessed the fierce battle in the second flower and had seen Wang Lin use the bow 3 times. With his understanding of Wang Lin and his own analysis, he was certain Wang Lin no longer had the power to draw the bow again. Otherwise, with his understanding of Wang Lin wouldn't have let the 7-colored Taoist go, and then let old Ghost John chase after the 7-colored Taoist. In his mind, without absolute certainty, Wang Lin wouldn't set up a plan to use the lion to devour the tiger. From his point of view, he couldn't guess Wang Lin's limits. Because he had come to this conclusion, the sovereign thought that this was a great opportunity since he had confirmed that Wang Lin was seriously injured. This was the best time for him to kill Wang Lin to get his revenge and take the 3rd soul. That's why he had moved at full speed to chase Wang Lin into the 4th flower while old Ghost John was chasing down the 7-colored Taoist. He had used his understanding of the ancient tomb that he had learned from Miao Yin and company to rush toward the second to last floor before everyone else. He expected that aside from Wang Lin, the third concubine would arrive before him. He hadn't expected Yunifeng to be faster than him. Clearly, Yunifeng had his own methods and luck. At this moment, the moment he appeared, he faced a spell that collided with his Law of Origin spell. The power of the attack was deflected and the sovereign retreated 3 steps. When he looked around, his expression became gloomy. Yunifeng stepped forward and the 8 blades sliced down toward the sovereign. Since he had lost to Wang Lin, he would not go back on his word. While they were in the core of the cave world, he would listen to Wang Lin's orders. At this moment, the 7 golden doors surrounded his body and a warm feeling nourished him. Even his injuries recovered a bit, and the 7 doors acted as a protective layer. It helped to offset the impact and allowed him to move even faster. Tang Xian moved after forming the 7 golden doors for Wang Lin and Yunifeng. Her right hand formed a seal and 9 golden flying swords appeared. They formed a sword formation and flew toward the sovereign. The 2 of them attacked the sovereign at the same time. The 8 blades cut the soul combined with Yunifeng's cultivation had shocking power. The sovereign waved his sleeve and 7-colored light flew toward Yunifeng. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Yunifeng had been injured by Wang Lin, and the 7 golden doors collapsed. He coughed out blood and clenched his teeth as he sliced down with a roar. 7 of the blades shattered when they collided with the 7-colored light, but the 8th blade was about to penetrate the 7-colored light and land on the sovereign. The sovereign's body trembled and thunderous rumbles echoed as he retreated 3 steps. He suddenly looked up at Tang Xian's 9 golden flying swords filled with strong celestial bloodline closing in. They were very fast. The moment the sovereign retreated, they closed in. The sovereign raised his hand and his thumb and index finger formed a circle. He faced Tang Xian. Golden light came from the circles formed by his hand. The light seemed to form countless swords that flew forward. They collided with Tang Xian's 9 swords, and the 9 swords shattered. The fragments were pushed back and endless rays of light closed in on Tang Xian. The golden beads on Tang Xian's wrist shined and 7 golden doors appeared to resist the 7-colored light. Thunderous rumbles echoed as blood flowed out from the corner of Tang Xian's mouth, and she quickly retreated. Even someone injured dares to sneak attack me? The sovereign stepped forward, but at this moment Wang Lin's hand grabbed the void. He used the heaven-ripping spell and the rift that connected the sky and earth appeared once more. It charged at the sovereign. All of this happened in an instant. The moment the sovereign attacked to counter Tang Xian and Yunifeng's attacks, the rift closed in. The sovereign could ignore the injured Yunifeng and the 3rd concubine, but he couldn't ignore Wang Lin's spell. The power of the heaven-ripping spell was terrifying. The sovereign's pupils shrank and the circles formed by his hands faced Wang Lin. His power of going through several arcane turbulence suddenly erupted. 3 destructive sovereign Dao. First spirit destruction Dao. The golden circle before the sovereign shined and collided with the heaven-ripping spell. Second ghost destruction Dao. The sovereign's robe expanded and a sun appeared before him. The law of origin spread out from his body, making him look like a celestial god. Third god destruction Dao. The sovereign bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood. It became a giant golden print that smashed toward the rift Wang Lin had created. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the endless golden light from the circles before him touched the rift. The circles suddenly collapsed and then the sun behind him flew toward the rift. At the same time the golden print closed in. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Wang Lin's heaven-ripping spell shattered. However, the sun also dissipated before the heaven-ripping spell. Only the golden print broke through everything and smashed toward Wang Lin. Without the Li Guang Bao, I want to see how you resist me. The sovereign's breathing was rough as he charged at Wang Lin. On the ground not far away from Wang Lin, Xian Luo calmly watched everything. Along the way he had witnessed Wang Lin's methods, cunning, persistence, and decisiveness. He now admired Wang Lin greatly. At this moment, he was eager to know how Wang Lin would resist this arcane turbulent cultivator's spell. Will he take Lian Daozhen's brother out to use the immortal celestial body again? Xian Luo was very interested, but a moment later, his eyes narrowed. He saw that there was no panic in Wang Lin's eyes. When the golden print broke through the void, Wang Lin retreated 3 steps. The first step put Wang Lin 1,000 feet from Xian Luo. After the second step, he was less than 300 feet from Xian Luo. With the third step, Wang Lin appeared beside Xian Luo. He wasn't before Xianluo but behind Xianluo. After 3 steps, Wang Lin sat down. If he could see Xianluo, then this scene would look very strange. Xianluo turned around to look at Wang Lin. At the same time, after Wang Lin sat down, he looked at the void before him. Their gazes seemed to meet. Xianluo looked at Wang Lin for a while until the golden light shined in the sky. The golden print was like a mountain as it descended, and it was less than 100 feet away. The ground around Wang Lin cracked and was pushed down. Interesting. Xianluo suddenly smiled. He raised his right hand, casually raised his finger, and pointed at the golden print. The golden print stopped 30 feet above their heads. After the golden print was stopped, it flashed violently and suddenly moved again. However, it rapidly shrank until it was only the size of a palm, and floated before Wang Lin. The golden print buzzed. This sound seemed to contain intelligence. It seemed to be trembling in submission. This thing now looked corporeal and had become a treasure. This suddenly change startled Yunifeng, who was about to attack again. He hadn't seen Wang Lin do anything. Wang Lin had just retreated 1,000 feet and sat down. The golden print had actually just stopped in the air. Tang Shan was also startled and stopped the seal her hands were forming. She was going to do her best to protect Wang Lin, but this sudden change shocked her. The two of them were only shocked, but the sovereign was dumbfounded, and his eyes were filled with terror. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, and he subconsciously rubbed his eyes. The shock in his heart was even more intense than when he saw Wang Lin use the Li Guang Bao. How can this be? This is impossible. What I used was a spell, not a treasure. That golden print was formed by my spell. It is an illusion, it shouldn't exist. It was formed by the power of my spell. How can it become corporeal and turn into a treasure? This kind of thing is impossible, impossible. The sovereign trembled. Others might now know what it meant, but he knew. To turn an illusory spell into something corporeal. This kind of ability to change the world. The sovereign's face turned pale and he subconsciously took a few steps back. The shock bursting inside him was strong enough to break his mind. He had never felt this much fear before. No matter how panicked he was before, it could not compare to now. He didn't understand, couldn't imagine, or to be more accurate, he didn't dare to guess. This is something only Master's big brother, one of the 9 sons of the immortal astral continent, could do. The sovereign's heart trembled. He was completely frightened by this. In the distance, Yunifeng saw the sovereign's expression and looked at the golden print floating before Wang Lin. His eyes were filled with terror, as if he had thought of something, and he suddenly bowed his head. However, his expression was clearly seen by Wang Lin, who was paying close attention. Wang Lin vaguely guessed Yunifeng's thoughts. This person was very cunning, so he wouldn't do things for no reason. However, Wang Lin had no time to pay attention to it. He raised his right hand and the golden print landed in his grasp. A cold feeling cycled through Wang Lin, and he felt a connection with the golden print. This item had just been created from the void and had no owner. Wang Lin's cultivation was imprinted in it, and he became this treasure's first owner. This golden print gave off a powerful aura and sealed the Sovereign God Destruction Dao spell. This spell had been used by the Sovereign at full power, so its strength was the same as the Sovereign using the spell himself, and due to it being created by Xianluo, it contained a hint of the 9 Sons' power. As a result, this treasure was indestructible. The Sovereign was terrified as Wang Lin devoured the print and began refining it in his origin soul. Xianluo stood before Wang Lin. He looked at Wang Lin profoundly and then suddenly smiled. At this moment, the fear in the Sovereign's heart reached a limit. He gave up on killing Wang Lin and retreated without hesitation. He was scared out of his mind and his mind was buzzing. He was very smart and cunning, but he could have never expected Xianluo to be here. He believed that his master's big brother had found this place. Thinking about how terrifying his master's big brother was, the Sovereign was soaked in cold sweat. He almost lost his wits. Just as he started retreating, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He stood up and took a step forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed as he chased after the Sovereign. Back then, you tried to kill me with the life and death calamity. Today, I'll give you a life and death calamity as well. Tua-san, you have already arrived. Do you want to fight me, or help me fight this person? Wang Lin's voice echoed as he chased. Just as his voice echoed, a laugh echoed across the world. The world distorted behind the sovereign and a giant figure appeared. His body was half naked and gave off an ancient aura. It also gave off an arrogant aura. It was Xian. When his body appeared, his right hand formed a seal and punched toward the sovereign. With this punch the world rumbled. It was as if this punch had absorbed all the power here, and it landed on the sovereign's body. The sovereign suddenly turned around. His hands formed a seal and sunlight surrounded his body. He seemed to turn into a sun when he collided with the punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The sovereign let out a muffled groan and retreated several steps. Xian's body also trembled, and he retreated 1,000 feet. He revealed a fierce smile. Satisfying. Wang Lin, don't fight with spells like these celestials. Our clan must fight with our powerful bodies. Break the world and battle the celestials. As Xian spoke, popping sounds echoed from his body. His body expanded to more than tens of thousands of feet tall, but he didn't stop. He continued to expand. Soon, a giant ancient god hundreds of thousands of feet tall appeared in the second to last layer of the ancient tomb. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he revealed a smile. Rumbles came from his body, and for the first time he completely expanded his body. Wang Lin's body instantly grew until he was the same size as Xian. From afar, the two giants looked like two mountains sealing the sovereign's path. At the same time, Yunifeng's eyes flashed. He knew that the mysterious Xian Lua was around, so he moved decisively. His hands formed a seal and his right hand pointed at the sky. There was a flash of purple light, and the purple light instantly formed a purple monkey. The monkey revealed a vicious gaze as it pounced toward the sovereign. Wang Lin has no chance of failing in the core of the cave. My plan won't go wrong. There was also the third concubine, Xian. She clenched her teeth and the golden bead on her wrist shone. Golden doors appeared and overlapped with each other. The 7 golden doors fused into one. Golden light shined as the door transformed into a golden dragon that rushed toward the sovereign. The 4 of them attacked at the same time and their power was amazing. Wang Lin and Xian each formed a fist, and their punches smashed down like 2 giant meteors. The sovereign's face was deathly pale and he had no will to battle. He was completely shaken by what had happened to the golden print. He suspected his master's big brother was hiding around here. This thought made him tremble and made it impossible for him to use his full strength. The only thought in his mind was to escape. As Wang Lin and Xian's fists descended, the sovereign let out a roar as if he wanted to release all the fear in his body. He moved his hand as if he was holding 2 runs and collided with Wang Lin and Xian's punches. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Xian's arm trembled and he retreated several steps. Wang Lin also trembled and retreated a few steps. At the same time, Yunifeng's spell that formed the monkey arrived, and it pounced on the sovereign. It turned into purple gas and entered the sovereign's body. The shadow of a monkey appeared between the sovereign's eyebrows. The sovereign trembled. Wang Lin and Xian's attacks had already caused his blood to boil. Then Yunifeng's spell from the immortal astral continent made it feel like his body was being torn apart. Then Tangshan's golden dragon smashed into the sovereign's body. The sovereign turned around and smashed the golden dragon with his right hand. As the golden dragon collapsed, the sovereign coughed out a mouthful of blood for the first time. His expression became dim and the fear in his eyes became even stronger. Wang Lin and Xian's ancient god power was something the sovereign dreaded. However, the difference between their cultivation levels were simply too wide. Although they were difficult to deal with, they had also paid a big price to seriously injure him. What he feared the most was what had happened to the golden print. He had a feeling that there was a 5th pair of eyes calmly looking at him. This feeling was very strong and almost made him go crazy. He also felt Dao Master Blue Dream's aura closing in. If Blue Dream arrived, he would be in danger. After coughing out blood, the sovereign's eyes were bloodshot. He suddenly looked up and ripples echoed under his feet as he tried to leave. However, at this moment, Wang Lin's right hand reached toward the void and he opened his storage page. A dozen ancient leaves flew out. As the ghostly light flickered, these dozen ancient leaves rushed toward the sovereign and sealed his path of retreat. When the sovereign was sealed, there was a flash of killing inside Wang Lin's eyes and he walked forward. He raised his hand to use his strongest spell, Heaven Ripping. The world was torn open and the rift flew toward the sovereign. The rift closed in on the sovereign in an instant. The sovereign formed a seal and slammed his hand toward the rift. At the same time, Tuasen's body moved and an overlapping shadow appeared. In a flash, the arrogant aura around him disappeared and was replaced by calmness and steadiness. It was as if he had become another person, as if he had become the awakened 2C. To be more accurate, the person that appeared was 2C. He raised his right hand and reached toward the void. Thunderous rumbles echoed and a giant spear appeared in his hand. Grabbing the spear, he stabbed toward the sovereign. Yunifeng and Tangshan attacked once more. They all used their most powerful spells. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Yunifeng coughed out blood and was knocked into the ground. Blood started flowing from the corner of Tangshan's mouth. She staggered back more than 10,000 feet, looking extremely weak. 2C's spear was caught by the sovereign. The sovereign's expression was fierce as his right palm slammed toward 2C. 2C's body trembled and he retreated 1,000 feet, but he was not injured. After pushing back 2C, the sovereign turned around. At this moment, the heaven-ripping rift closed in and was less than 10 feet away. The sovereign's hair was a mess and he bit his tongue without hesitation to spit out some of his essence blood. This blood was golden, and it penetrated the rift toward Wang Lin. If Wang Lin were hit by this blood, he would be in danger. At the critical moment, Wang Lin was still calm. The moment the blood closed in, Wang Lin said one word. Stop! Stop the heavens, stop the earth, stop all laws. The blood stopped for a moment before Wang Lin, and he calmly avoided it. He waved his hand and the blood sword flew out. However, at this moment the rebound erupted in his body. He suppressed the rebound, but his face turned slightly pale. After an instant, the stop spell stopped working and the blood sprayed past Wang Lin, landing on the ground. Sizzling sounds came from the ground, and that part of the earth began to sink. The blood sword flashed and a muffled groan came from the sovereign. The blood sword was too fast and shot toward the sovereign the moment he had spat out the blood. The sword pierced through the sovereign's right shoulder. Fresh blood sprayed out, and the sovereign's eyes became bloodshot. He raised his left hand and pointed at the sky. You're all courting death. Fishing the moon in the well. The sovereign's Tao spell. To use the earth as a well that reflected everything in the sky. Then extract the soul through the reflection and kill. Wang Lin had seen this spell several times, and each time, it had shocked him greatly. As the sovereign spoke, ripples appeared on the earth of the second to last layer of the ancient tomb, and it instantly turned water-like. The figures of Wang Lin and company appeared on the water. It was as if they were being drowned by the water in the well. Unless it was absolutely needed, Wang Lin wouldn't battle the sovereign. His enemies were the seven-colored Taoist and old ghost John. Adding the sovereign would make it extremely difficult. Although he didn't want to fight, the sovereign's purpose was to kill Wang Lin. Therefore, Wang Lin was forced to fight. Wang Lin also held a great advantage. Yunifeng, Tangshan, and Tuasen had helped him seriously injure the sovereign. Coupled with Wang Lin's previous deduction, he was able to deal a serious blow to the sovereign's mind. Based on various conditions, this perfect situation to kill the sovereign had appeared. The most important thing was the third person Wang Lin had sensed after Tuasen and the sovereign. This third person was Tao Master Blue Dream. Wang Lin just didn't believe that they couldn't seal the sovereign with the five of them. At this moment, the sovereign's fishing the moon in the well appeared. His red eyes were filled with killing intent. He no longer wanted to escape, because he clearly felt that Tao Master Blue Dream had arrived. So what if Blue Dream is here? If you want to kill me, you all have to pay the price. Also, time is limited. Old Ghost John will arrive soon. They won't be able to kill me before Old Ghost John arrives. The earth that had turned into a well reflected Wang Lin and company's figures. Then a flash of blue light appeared. This blue light spread across the well in the sky. In the distance, Tao Master Blue Dream walked out. Wang Lin's eyes shined. When Tao Master Blue Dream arrived, he sent out a Divince's message. Senior Blue Dream, can you seal the sovereign for 3 breaths? Blue Dream closed in and nodded. He waved his sleeve and the earth that had turned into a well trembled. The earth collapsed and the well shattered. Blue light entered the collapsed well and flew into the air as he waved his hand. It turned into a blue curtain that shrouded the world. I can do 3 breaths. As Tao Master Blue Dream spoke, he walked into the blue light. At this instant, the surrounding blue light shot toward the sovereign. 3 rays of blue light flew out toward Yunifeng and Tang Shan, pulling them into the blue light. The last ray of light wrapped around Tuasan and also pulled him into the blue light. The 4 of them all fused with the blue light. The moment they disappeared into the blue light, they turned into 4 runes and flew toward the sovereign. The sovereign's expression changed. This all happened in an instant. The 4 runes were flying toward the sovereign an instant after Blue Dream appeared. The sovereign could not avoid this. This was, after all, formed by Blue Dream's full cultivation. Although he hadn't entered Arcane Tribulent, he could battle against Arcane Tribulent cultivators. With him as the lead, and the help of the other 3, these 4 runes broke through all barriers and landed on the sovereign's body. The moment the 4 runes landed, the sovereign staggered and was surrounded by blue light that sealed his whole body. Although his movements were sealed, he still had a lot of power. The moment the blue light surrounded him, a golden light covered his body. From a distance, the sovereign looked completely golden. This golden shield can protect him from serious injuries for a few breaths after he was sealed. The first breath of the 3 breaths. Wang Lin didn't hesitate. The moment the sovereign was sealed by the blue light, he walked forward and appeared before the sovereign. He raised his right hand and the ghostly sail appeared. Wang Lin's finger penetrated the blue light and landed between the eyebrows of the sovereign. Dream Dao. As Wang Lin's voice echoed, the second breath arrived. The Dream Dao and the ghostly face fused and rushed into the sovereign. They didn't injure the sovereign at all but fused with his soul. Borrowing the Dream Dao, Wang Lin entered the memories of the sovereign, and a connection formed. Wang Lin didn't try to change the sovereign's memory, but pointed at the mountain surrounded by the black fog. I sacrificed this soul to EC. Wang Lin knew that he was no match for the sovereign, but he could borrow a knife to kill, and that knife was EC. As his words echoed, the third breath arrived. The fog around the mountain churned and let out a heaven-shattering roar. At the same time, the sovereign's soul started disappearing from his body rapidly as if it was being devoured. The sovereign's eyes struggled and he let out a violent roar as his body trembled. The 3 breaths passed and the 4 seals on his body immediately dissipated. When the 4 seals disappeared, Dao Master Blue Dream, Yunifeng, Tang Shan, and Tuasan appeared from the surrounding blue light. Miserable screams echoed as the sovereign escaped from Dao Master Blue Dream's seal. He held his head as he rapidly retreated. The miserable cries shook people's hearts. The sovereign's soul was rapidly dissipating and was being sacrificed. When Dao Master Blue Dream and company saw this, their pupils shrank. They were in shock. Wang Lin coughed out blood and retreated more than 1,000 feet. He looked at the sovereign who was screaming in the sky, and his eyes revealed a cruel and cold gaze. At this moment, the sovereign's eyes were bloodshot. The intense pain made him crazy as he looked at Wang Lin and charged at him as if he had gone crazy. It is you who made me suffer so much pain. I'm going to kill you, the sovereign roared as he rushed at Wang Lin. His consciousness was blurry, and the only thought in his mind was kill Wang Lin. EC puppet, I have sacrificed enough souls. I summon you. Wang Lin retreated without even wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. As the sovereign closed in, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and he let out a roar. The moment his words echoed, the mountain in the distance collapsed and the fog rushed toward Wang Lin. It was very fast, instantly shrouding Wang Lin. It even shrouded the sovereign that had charged over. It covered everyone's gazes. Then 2 roars came from inside the fog. One was from the sovereign. It was filled with endless pain. The other was filled with endless killing intent. The roars continued to echo inside the black fog. Aside from the people within the fog, no one knew what was happening inside. They could only hear the sovereign's roars become even more miserable. A moment later, the fog churned violently and the sovereign was thrown out. He landed on the ground with his eyes closed, and he was motionless. Blue Dream and company carefully looked at the black fog around Wang Lin. They saw the fog slowly condense to reveal Wang Lin. This fog was still gathering. It wasn't gathering in Wang Lin but to his right. There was a shadow squatting there. When all the fog condensed, the shadow became clear to everyone. Tang Shan's face immediately turned pale, and he immediately retreated several steps. Even Yunifeng gasped, his eyes filled with fear. Dao Master Blue Dream and Tua-san were better, but their hearts trembled when they saw the shadow. It was a dwarf with purple skin. He was naked as he crouched there. There was no hair on his head and his body was very thin. His tongue stuck out 7 feet and hung there swaying. His eyes were dark, looking as if they could absorb the light around him, making his figure distort slightly. An indescribable ferocity was spreading out from his body. This puppet was like an evil ghost that had climbed out of hell itself. Although it was only squatting there, it gave everyone a huge pressure in their hearts. The surroundings were silent. Only the demon-like dwarf's breathing could be heard. Wang Lin looked calm, but his heart was also shocked. Inside the fog, he had seen the EC puppet's crazed battle against the sovereign. It took a long time for Wang Lin to suppress the trembling in his heart. He knew that the connection he had with the puppet wasn't strong, and controlling it was difficult. If he wanted full control, he would have to keep killing and sacrificing souls to it. This thing is somewhat different from the memory of the third soul. According to the memory, once it appears, it should have the power of a peak early-stage void tribulent cultivator who has gone through all 9 arcane tribulants. However, although the puppet is still very strong, it can't reach the power of a real void tribulent cultivator. It is equal to someone who has gone through several arcane tribulants. Although Wang Lin had doubts in his heart, he couldn't find an answer. In the distance, Xian Luo had been looking at the EC puppet since it appeared. He recognized what it was. I have already felt aura before. It is indeed a puppet spirit, and it has transformed twice. This 7-colored celestial sovereign is indeed vicious. Xian Luo shook his head and sighed. Wang Lin took a deep breath and walked toward the unconscious sovereign. The dwarf silently followed. Its body changed between corporeal and fog. Wang Lin looked at the unconscious sovereign and felt complicated. The sovereign. After a long time, Wang Lin waved his sleeve and put the sovereign inside his storage space. You still have half of your soul left, but I won't kill you. You were once the madman's slave. I'll let him decide your fate once he awakens. Wang Lin felt no joy in taking the sovereign's soul. Instead, he felt somewhat sad. Wang Lin had heard the sovereign's name when he was only at the 2nd step, and then, once he had gone to the ancient star system, they had encountered each other many times. This person could be considered the leader of a generation, but his life had been sad. He was but a slave to the madman. Then, after the madman had gone missing, he had been forced to worship the 7-colored Taoist as his teacher and listen to the 7-colored Taoist's commands. Now he had half his soul taken by Wang Lin and had fallen into such a state. All of this was very similar to how the sovereign had gathered the 3rd-step cultivators of the outer realm to attack the Lord of the Sealed Realm until the Lord of the Sealed Realm was only a sliver of a soul inside the heaven-defying bead. It was like a reincarnation cycle. The killer had been killed. Wang Lin let out a sigh and clasped his hands at Dao Master Blue Dream and company. Many thanks for this. Dao Master Blue Dream's gaze swept past the dwarf and looked at Wang Lin. He slowly said, I can't help you much, but no matter what happens, I'll do my best. This is my promise to you. His tone on the last 2 words was quite heavy. Tu-Si or Tua-sen returned to the size of a normal person and calmly said, You've returned my inheritance to me and allowed my flowing ink transformation divine technique to be complete. I'll help you to return the favor. Wang Lin could not tell if the person was Tua-san or Tu-Si, but he vaguely understood what had happened to this person. As for Yunifeng, he smiled bitterly and didn't respond to Wang Lin's thanks. He had lost, so he must do to listening to Wang Lin's orders. He still had courage, so even though there was no more oath blood, he wouldn't take back his words. Wang Lin looked at the 3rd concubine, Tang Shan, and softly said, I helped you leave this place and you helped me fight the sovereign, so your debt is cleared. You don't have to take this matter to heart anymore in the future. Tang Shan silently pondered for a while and nodded. In the distance, the mountain the EC puppet came from collapsed and revealed a hole. Slivers of ancient Dao aura spread out. This was the entrance to the last layer. Once Wang Lin entered, he could reach the place where Yimo's heart was located. However, just at this moment, ripples echoed in the sky. In the distance, several rays of light closed in and a powerful divine sense spread out. This change attracted Wang Lin's attention. He looked up at the sky and his expression slowly became gloomy. Old Ghost John had caught up. You can go down. This old man has promised to help you, so I'll keep doing so. Tao Master Blue Dream let out a sigh and blue light spread across his body. He looked at the sky with battle intent in his eyes. Tuasan silently pondered and looked at Wang Lin. He didn't speak, but popping sounds echoed inside his body. He looked up and clenched his hands. Uncle Ma will act too and help you delay long enough. Yunifeng revealed a bitter smile as he took out a large handful of pills to devour. He waved his right hand and his body gave off the light of the 5 elements. A suit of armor slowly began to appear. Tang Shan waved her right hand without speaking. 7 golden doors appeared around everyone here. She took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. Wang Lin opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. He couldn't control the EC puppet unless he was here, and it had to follow him. Therefore, if he wasn't here, the EC puppet would have no effect. Wang Lin bowed deeply at everyone. He knew that this was not the time for words. He had to obtain the last of Yi Mo's inheritance aside from the left eye, then leave this 4th flower and find the real door in the 5th flower. However, the condition was that it had to be done before Old Ghost John caught up, but he was already closing in. Wang Lin took a deep breath and no longer hesitated. He charged toward the collapsed mountain. After he disappeared, the sky rumbled and Old Ghost John's figure appeared in the air. 7 colored lights surrounded his body. This was because he had devoured the 7-colored Taoist. Although the 2 souls hadn't fused, the benefits to him were great. This allowed him to use even more of his cultivation. He was also different from the 7-colored Taoist. He was the 7-colored celestial sovereign soul and Old Ghost John. Old Ghost John already had a high cultivation level. Then he obtained the 7-colored celestial sovereign's Tao. Now that he had devoured the 7-colored Taoist, his cultivation level was infinitely close to that of the 7-colored celestial sovereign of the past. You're all ants, scram for this old man. Old Ghost John's voice rumbled and spread through the layer. The earth collapsed and the sky was torn open. In the last layer of the ancient tomb, Wang Lin appeared. The moment he appeared, he vaguely heard the sound of a heart beating. This sound entered his mind but didn't cause his heart to beat with it. Instead, it caused his heart to become chaotic, as if there were 2 different beats echoing in his ears. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked around. This last layer had no earth or sky. There were only blood vessel-like things that were thousands of feet thick. Every time he heard that heartbeat, these blood vessels would all move. In Wang Lin's divine sense, he clearly saw a giant heart where all the blood vessels connected to. Every time the heart beat, Wang Lin felt a stab of pain in his chest. It was like his heart was going to collapse. Everything here was somewhat different from what he had seen when he first obtained the inheritance, but the general idea was the same. After all, back then he had only caught a vague glimpse of this place, and this was the first time he had entered this place. Wang Lin knew time was of the essence. He didn't know how long Blue Dream and company above could delay Old Ghost John. Every breath he delayed could mean Old Ghost John catching up. Right now, he couldn't carefully observe behind him. He had to slowly move forward. He traveled at his fastest speed as he moved between the blood vessels. Fortunately, there were no beasts here. Wang Lin didn't encounter any obstacle as he traversed endless distances. However, the heart seemed to be able to detect Wang Lin arriving, and it was beating even faster. The beats from the heart were off sync with Wang Lin's own heartbeat. This caused Wang Lin's face to turn pale and created an unbearable pain in his chest. The closer he got to the heart, the stronger the feeling became. In the end, the heartbeats were like roaring thunder. The sound was like a needle was drilling into Wang Lin's heart. Words could not describe the pain. However, this strange change had no effect on the EC puppet following Wang Lin. It still had its long tongue out, and its gaze became even more intense. There was a sense of irritation coming from it. Although his pain was intense, Wang Lin didn't stop at all. He moved like the wind. The pain almost reached the point of driving him insane when he arrived at the center of this layer. He spotted the giant heart and saw the countless blood vessels connected to it, extending in all directions. The blood vessels moved along with the heartbeats. Upon arriving here, Wang Lin's heartbeat became even more distinct with the giant heart. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. This was a sign that his heart was going to explode. Inside Wang Lin's body, all the blood vessels were swollen and his blood flow was sometimes fast and sometimes slow. Along with this erratic heartbeat, these were all signs that his heart was going to explode. This was not a spell, ability, or Dao spell. It was just that this heartbeat was extremely lethal. Even Wang Lin's ancient Dao body could not resist it, unless he didn't have a heart. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale and his right hand clenched his chest. He could feel his heart's erratic heartbeats, and the vibrations even caused his hand to tremble. Wang Lin staggered as he clenched his teeth and let out a roar. He coughed out blood and arrived next to the Hurge heart. His body moved with the beating heart. Wang Lin suppressed the pain and sat down on the heart. He closed his eyes and focused his mind on his heart. Yemo, I have inherited your origin soul, your bloodline, and your arms. I'm here to inherit your heart to make this inheritance complete. If you agree, then stop this disorderly heartbeat and beat in sync with me. Wang Lin's divine sense spread into the heart. However, just as his divine sense spread out, the heart began to beat even faster and more violently. It didn't want to be in sync with Wang Lin at all, and it produced a powerful rejection force. I have gone through most of the 3 trials, 7 calamities, and won the approval of the ancient ancestor. I have obtained more than half of your inheritances, and now only the heart remains. I know you're unwilling, but you are already dead. You're already dead, so give me your inheritance and I'll complete your last wishes. I'll take care of your relatives on the immortal astral continent and keep them safe. You battled the 7-colored celestial sovereign and lost. I, Wang Lin, will battle against the soul of the 7-colored celestial sovereign. Win or lose, I'll continue that battle from back then. The heart below Wang Lin suddenly stopped and showed signs of calming down. However, it slowly began to beat violently once more. At the same time, a miserable divine sense message filled with a monstrous resentment rushed into Wang Lin's mind. Return my left eye to me. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and said, I'll help you find your left eye. This is my promise to you. When he said this, the heart below him no longer beat off sync with his own. It chose to beat in sync with Wang Lin instead. A powerful ancient Dao aura suddenly appeared and rushed into Wang Lin's body as the heartbeat synced with his own. As the aura rushed into Wang Lin, his clothes rapidly fluttered as if there was a powerful wind hitting him. The 8 ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly and showed signs of forming a 9th star. The powerful aura that had rushed into Wang Lin from the heart below rumbled inside his body like thunder. It washed over him and made him feel like he was inside a violent storm. The stars of the 3 clans rotated rapidly and all showed signs of reaching 9 stars. The large heart's heartbeat beat along with Wang Lin's heartbeat. Wang Lin even had the illusion that this giant heart was his heart. The giant heart followed the beat of his own heart. This feeling became stronger and stronger. In the end, Wang Lin could not hear anything but the beating of the hearts. This sound made Wang Lin felt very comfortable. The warm feeling also caused the stabbing pain in his heart to slowly dissipate. A sense of enlightenment entered Wang Lin's mind. This insight came from the heartbeats. In the last layer of the ancient tomb, Wang Lin felt like his heart was being stabbed and was about to explode. Wang Lin vaguely grasped this method of attacking, which wasn't a spell, ability, or Dao, as he calmed down. To affect the heartbeat of others with your own and change the rhythm of their heartbeat until their heart collapses. Or make their heartbeat beat in sync with yours to take control, and then manipulate it to produce lethal force. These methods are very different to defend against. Perhaps I can borrow this insight to create another spell that belongs to me. Wang Lin opened his eyes, they were shining brightly. As he absorbed the aura from the heart, he deduced the feasibility of this idea. The heartbeat is like a sound, but this sound needs some help to spread out. My thunder origin can produce loud rumbles and obtain similar effects. If I condense my thunder essence in my heart to help my heartbeat spread out from the body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. It still requires my dream Dao's help. The sound from my heartbeat and the dream Dao will enter at the same time. It will cause illusions to appear as their heartbeat changes, and certain effects could be achieved. Wang Lin's eyes became even brighter. If it is combined with my ethereal fire, then once the heartbeat causes an irritation in their heart, the ethereal fire would be able to burn. Wang Lin closed his eyes and continued to deduce the possibilities. EC Puppet was sitting behind him, and its gaze became even more violent. It began to let out subconscious howls. Just as Wang Lin's heart and Yimo's heart were fusing and Wang Lin was comprehending the new spell, the second-to-last layer of the ancient tomb rumbled. At this moment, a vicious battle was in progress. There was a thunderous bang loud enough to make it feel as if the world was being torn apart. A gust of wind threw Tang Feng into the sky, and she fell onto the collapsed earth. A large amount of dust was kicked into the air. Tang Feng's face was pale as she struggled to get up. Blood was flowing from the corner of her mouth, her heart was trembling, and she was seriously injured. Not far from her, Yunifeng's eyes were closed shut. His injuries were very serious. When old Ghost John had waved his hand, his head injuries erupted and he had almost died. There was also Tua Sun, who was surrounded by 3 black battle words and was completely sealed inside. The sky was dim and storms were raging. There were several figures inside this covered world. The Black Tortoise General and the Vermilion Bird General were fighting the 2 middle-aged men from Planet 5 Elements. Their battle raged, and it was difficult for a winner to be decided. However, compared to them, the real battle was raging in the distance. That was where old Ghost John was, and Dao Master Blue Dream and the old man named Ma were fighting against old Ghost John. Dao Master Blue Dream's expression was gloomy, and his steps were a bit unsteady. Most of his spells were on the defensive, and he could not get close to old Ghost John. The old man named Ma had a helpless gaze, but his attacks caused the world to tremble. He had to act. He had come here with the cultivators from Planet 5 Elements due to Xian Luo's request. If he didn't act, he might anger Xian Luo, which would result in him being unable to leave this cave world. Old Ghost John's eyes were filled with coldness. If it wasn't for those 2 blocking him, he could have entered the last layer and killed Wang Lin to obtain the 3rd soul. However, these 2 were very difficult to deal with. They were willing to suffer injuries to stall him. As a result, even he was unable to rush into the last layer in a short period of time. As the 3 battled, the old man named Ma took several steps backwards. His face was slightly pale and he quickly sent out a divine sense message. Fellow cultivator Blue Dream, I'm going to use a powerful spell. The moment he sent out the divine sense message, Dao Master Blue Dream waved his hand and blue light surrounded him as he charged at old Ghost John. A thunderous rumble echoed as old Ghost John waved his right hand. The word battle appeared and rapidly expanded. A monstrous force spread out, and the blue light distorted before quickly collapsing. Even the firefly dares to compete with the bright moon. Old Ghost John let out a cold snort and waved his sleeve as he charged at the old man named Ma. He was not worried about Blue Dream. After all, Blue Dream hadn't gone through arcane turbulence. The old man named Ma was not the same. If old Ghost John didn't want to be entangled, he would have to seriously injure the old man named Ma. The old man named Ma retreated and pointed at the sky. He was about to use a spell when he saw old Ghost John fly past Blue Dream and head toward him. His expression immediately became gloomy. This Blue Dream can't even block for a moment. However, whether it was him or old Ghost John, they had underestimated Blue Dream. He was one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system and someone even the sovereign feared. Even though he hadn't gone through arcane turbulence, he had his own methods. At this moment, Dao Master Blue Dream bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood. The essence blood fused with the collapsed blue light and formed an ancient zither. The ancient zither gave off an ancient aura as if it had existed for countless years. It was invisible and had been stored inside Dao Master Blue Dream's blood for countless years. Now that it was revealed to the world once more, it revealed its power. This ancient zither was Dao Master Blue Dream's most powerful treasure and his ace. This was the real reason the sovereign dreaded Dao Master Blue Dream. This zither had only been used once, during the battle that made Dao Master Blue Dream famous. The song from the zither had buried countless bodies. Although he hadn't gone through any arcane turbulence, the effort and sacrifice he had put into refining this zither was even more than going through the arcane turbulence. The zither also had a mysterious origin. It felt like it didn't belong to the cave world. When the ancient zither appeared, Blue Dream's eyes were filled with sorrow. He missed his wife. Although his wife was within his storage space, he was unable to make her recover. With a sigh, Blue Dream sat down behind the zither and gently plucked the strings. Zung! The zither music echoed. Old Ghost John, who had walked right past Blue Dream, suddenly retreated 3 steps to the side and turned his head. The moment he turned his head, the zither music rippled. The sound from the zither came from Blue Dream and shrouded old Ghost Xian, sealing his path of retreat. The old man named Ma's eyes revealed a strange light. He looked at the Tao Master Blue Dream and his pupils shrank. He didn't recognize the zither, but he could tell that it was extraordinary. At this moment, he didn't hesitate and pointed at the sky with his right hand. 5-element golden celestial. Condensed golden sky. Endless golden light came from the body of the old man named Ma and spread into the sky. The collapsed sky was covered by golden light, like the 9 songs and 3 signs. 5-element earth celestial. Condensed black earth. The old man named Ma pointed at the earth with his left hand. The earth rumbled and turned black. This spread like crazy until everything was colored black. After using 2 5-element spells, the old man named Ma was very tired. He didn't want to use more, and the hands he was pointing at the sky and earth with suddenly moved. At this moment, Tao Master Blue Dream's zither music became even more intense and was filled with killing intent as it completely sealed old Ghost Xian within. Old Ghost Xian's eyes lit up and he waved his right hand. A golden word battle appeared. The word collapsed and shook the seal around him. The zither music suddenly became louder and ripples echoed as it resisted the collapse of the word battle. At the same time, the spell cast by the old man named Ma moved toward old Ghost Xian. The golden sky rumbled and a golden hand reached out toward old Ghost Xian. Shortly after, a black hand came out of the black earth. Like the golden hand, it slowly closed in on old Ghost Xian. There was a flash of coldness in old Ghost Xian's eyes, and the moment the spells closed in, he touched his forehead. A vague shadow that looked like a soul appeared behind old Ghost Xian. The shadow was wearing a cape that covered everything below the eyes, revealing only a pair of gloomy eyes and long hair. This was the 7-colored celestial sovereign soul that had separated from old Ghost Xian's body. The soul that wore the cape opened his arms and his hair fluttered. His hands collided with the golden and black hands. It was also at this moment that ancient Tao aura spread out from the entrance to the last layer. The sound of a heart beating began to echo. This was Wang Lin's heartbeat. Old Ghost Xian's 7-colored soul flew out. The cape wrapped around him and collided with the gold and black arms that came from the sky and earth. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Old Ghost Xian was extremely powerful. Even without the 7-colored soul, he was a cultivator who was near the peak of arcane turbulent. He was half a step into the early stage of void turbulent. What's more, his soul had been chosen to be fused by the 7-colored soul. As a result, his cultivation level was infinitely close to that of the 7-colored celestial sovereign. At this moment, his body and soul separated. The 7-colored soul waved its arm and the gold arm from the sky collapsed. At the same time, the black arm from the earth trembled and disintegrated. Even Tao Master Blue Dream's zither seal disappeared without a trace under his impact. Tao Master Blue Dream coughed out blood. The zither buzzed and he was seriously injured. However, he didn't hesitate to play it again, and the 2 forces flew toward old Ghost Xian. Even the old man named Hadma suffered a lot of rebound from the 7-colored soul breaking his spell. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth and he was pushed back more than 1,000 feet. However, he clenched his teeth and turned around to charge out once more. At the same time as the 7-colored soul and old Ghost Xian separated, old Ghost Xian flew toward the 2 middle-aged men from planet 5 Elements. They were battling the Black Tortoise General and the Vermilion Bird General. The Black Tortoise and Vermilion Bird had already reached an agreement with old Ghost Xian, or maybe were forced to help. They believed that listening to old Ghost Xian was the only choice here. And they even believed that old Ghost Xian would become the new 7-colored celestial sovereign. At this moment, old Ghost Xian closed in and waved his sleeve. 2 battle characters flew out and exploded on the 2 middle-aged men from planet 5 Elements. They were seriously injured and forced to retreat. A shocking battle intent erupted from old Ghost Xian. He was the creator of the battle scrolls and was the owner of the battle essence. If not for the fact that he had fused with the soul of the 7-colored celestial sovereign, which affected his personality, he wouldn't be so hesitant. Now that his body and soul had separated, a lot of the effects it had on him dissipated, returning him to his previous tyrannical ways. The tyrannical ways of battle. The 2 of you quickly go the entrance and kill Wang Lin. Old Ghost John waved his sleeve and the two generals rushed out borrowing this force. They rushed toward the entrance to the next layer that had formed after the mountain had collapsed. As he finished speaking, he turned around and the old man named Ma arrived. The two looked at each other, and thunderous rumbles seemed to echo between them. As they stared at each other, they began to fight. Compared to the old man named Ma, Dao Master Blue Dream was more anxious, but his entire focus was on playing the zither to seal the seven-colored soul. He couldn't spare any effort to stop the black tortoise and the vermilion bird from disrupting Wang Lin. Xian hadn't passed out. She clenched her teeth and leaped into the air to stop the black tortoise and the vermilion bird. Not far away, Tuasan was sealed by 3 battle characters. At this moment, he let out a roar and broke the characters he had weakened. When the seal collapsed, he rushed toward the black tortoise and the vermilion bird. However, he and Xian were still slower than the two generals. Just as the two arrived at the collapsed mountain and were about to enter, a shocking change occurred. The fastest person was the black tortoise. He was 30 feet ahead of the vermilion bird. When he got close, he heard a heartbeat that echoed like thunder. This caused his own heart to beat chaotically. This sudden beat created a drilling pain in his heart. The black tortoise general's expression changed and a thunderous rumble echoed in his ears. The intense pain coming from his chest felt like a giant hand had reached into his chest and was about to grab his heart. When the intense pain arrived, the black tortoise general let out a painful cry, and he stopped moving forward. Just as he was about to retreat, a black hand appeared from the void and pressed against his chest. With a bang, the black tortoise general coughed out blood and was knocked back toward the vermilion bird behind him. The vermilion bird general was startled for a moment and also heard the heartbeat. This caused his heartbeat to become chaotic, and he felt a sharp pain in his chest. His face turned pale and he retreated without hesitation. However, just as he retreated, a sharp roar filled with ferociousness and violence along with bloodthirst came from the entrance. A shadow flew out and appeared before the vermilion bird general. The vermilion bird general only saw the black figure before he coughed out blood. The black shadow smashed into him and he was thrown back in an arc. However, the black shadow followed closely after the vermilion bird general and hugged him. The shadow revealed a fierce smile and bit the vermilion bird general's neck. The vermilion bird general's miserable scream was terrifying, and his body quickly withered as a lot of blood was sucked out by the black shadow. All of this happened in an instant. It was too fast to imagine. While still in the air, the black shadow raised its feet and kicked off from the vermilion bird general. The vermilion bird general was knocked into the earth while the black shadow borrowed this force to fly into the air. This was the EC puppet. This sudden scene caused Xian and Tuasan to stop. This also caught the attention of the old man named Ma, Dao Master Blue Dream, and Old Ghost John, along with the seven-colored soul. As everyone's gazes gathered, Wang Lin's figure slowly appeared from the entrance to the last layer. Everyone who saw Wang Lin gasped because his appearance had changed greatly. He was still wearing all white, but the fresh bloodstains on his clothes were shocking. His hair was still white, but it was a mess and part of his hair was draped over his shoulder. His white hair and clothes hadn't changed, but the skin under his clothes was covered in shocking runes. These runes flickered on Wang Lin's skin and gave off an ancient aura. His face was covered in runes. It looked very rough and his eyes gave off a silver glow. The aura he exuded made it seem as if he felt disdain toward the entire world. His silver eyes revealed coldness and ruthlessness. There was also a sense of killing intent inside those silver eyes that made one's heart chill. What shocked Tuasan the most was that there were 9 stars rotating between Wang Lin's eyebrows. In his right eye, there were also 9 ancient devil stars. Only his left eye had 8 ancient demon stars. Flesh blood flowed out from his left eye and fell onto his white shirt from his cheek. You have obtained all of Yimo's inheritances. Old Ghost John's expression changed. He felt a sense of danger from Wang Lin, and this feeling made his heart tremble. Not only him, but everyone who saw Wang Lin's silver eyes trembled. Dao Master Blue Dream fared better than others. After all, he was Wang Lin's elder. However, the old man named Ma felt his heart tremble when he saw the silver eyes. Silver eyes. Rumor has it that when the celestial ancestor descends, there will be 9 songs and 3 signs. The golden sky is one of the signs. There is also a rumor that the 9 songs and 3 signs are also what happens when the ancient ancestor descends. The 9 songs are for the ancient ones, and the 3 signs are for the celestials. I once heard that 2 of the 9 songs were silver eyes and golden body. This Wang Lin has only obtained Yimo's inheritance. How could he have silver eyes? Even Yimo didn't have that. While everyone was shocked, Xian Luo looked at Wang Lin from the entrance to the last layer with excitement in his eyes. When he saw the silver eyes in the last layer for the first time, a huge wave was set off in his heart. When he saw it again now, he was still the same. The ancient ancestor's soul blood has allowed him to possess the first of the 9 songs, Silver Eye. As everyone felt shocked, Wang Lin's gaze swept past the ground and paused for a moment where Xian Luo was. With his silver eyes, he vaguely saw something, but aside from himself, no one knew what he had seen. After his gaze swept by, it landed on the 7-colored soul that had separated from old ghost John. Looking at the body covered by the cape, Wang Lin pointed at the soul. The moment he pointed, the sound of a heart beating echoed like thunder. This sound came from Wang Lin's heart, and it quickly shrouded the world. Old ghost John's expression changed and he immediately flew toward the 7-colored soul. Before Wang Lin's eyes, they fused into one. Wang Lin didn't stop him and there was no need to stop him. After fusing, the 7-colored soul surrounded old ghost John and covered the sky behind him. He sneered and charged at Wang Lin. Dao Master Blue Dream and the old man named Ma was about to help when Wang Lin's words calmly echoed between the heartbeats. 2 seniors, you have worked hard. I'll finish this battle. Wang Lin naturally saw that they were injured, and he wanted to know how strong he was after obtaining the inheritance. After he finished speaking, his heartbeat was monstrous. The thunderous rumbles affected one's heartbeat. As old ghost John closed in, this monstrous rumble entered his body and affected his heart directly. Old ghost John suddenly stopped and a stinging pain came from his heart. His heartbeat became chaotic as if his heart was going to collapse. What kind of spell is this? Old ghost John's expression changed. He raised his right hand and pressed it against his chest in an attempt to suppress the pain in his heart. This was a battle between gods and celestials. Wang Lin's cultivation slowly disappeared and his essences hid themselves. Right now his entire body gave off a dense ancient Tao aura. Back then the 7-colored celestial sovereign battled Yimo, and in the end Yimo died. It was a pity. Today, I'll continue that battle with you. Wang Lin raised his right hand and mercilessly formed a fist. Popping sounds came from his hand. Wang Lin's silver eyes shined as he waved his sleeve and walked toward old ghost John. While moving forward, the heartbeat in Wang Lin's body rumbled, causing chaos in old ghost John's heart. Old ghost John felt pain in his chest, and his expression was gloomy. In the sky, the EC puppet turned into black fog and rushed toward old ghost John. Heartbeat, thunder echo. Wang Lin spoke calmly, and as he spoke, the thunder-like heartbeat became even faster. As the heartbeat violently raged, old ghost John let out a roar. He ignored the pain in his heart as he charged at Wang Lin. Mind confused, collapse in one step. Killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes and he let out a roar. All the sound in the world seemed to gather on old ghost John. His heart began to show signs of collapse. Old ghost John's expression became fierce and he clenched his chest. His chest caved in as he used his power to control his heart by force, preventing it from beating. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he stepped forward. His right hand formed a fist and the ancient Tao aura gathered in his right hand. The 9 stars between his eyebrows and the 17 stars in his eyes rotated. All his ancient Tao aura gathered in this punch that flew toward old ghost John. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. The sky collapsed and the earth collapsed. It was like the end of the world. Old ghost John formed a seal and formed 7 battle characters in a row. They collided with Wang Lin's punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed and 6 of the 7 battle characters collapsed, and Wang Lin's punch also collapsed. Old ghost John trembled and was forced back a few steps. The last character flew toward Wang Lin and exploded. The force landed on Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He looked up and saw the EC puppet close in on old ghost John, and they began to battle. After he absorbed the 7-colored Taoist, he became a lot stronger. Even though I have obtained all of Yimo's inheritances aside from the left eye, I'm still not his match. However, I can risk it once, regardless of whether I fail or not. Wang Lin remained calm and thought about the strongest spell he had inherited from Yemo. Yemo had learned this from the ancient Dao temple, and it was a secret spell of the ancient Dao clan. When Wang Lin was immersed in the memory of the inheritance, he saw this spell, so it was difficult to forget. Right now, after he had obtained all the inheritances beside the left eye, he had gained great comprehension of this spell. He slowly raised his arm and formed a fist before punching at the void before him. What flew out along with his punch was his 9 ancient god stars, which fused into his fist. God Tremble Army Formation. The endless celestial soldiers didn't appear like what happened in Yemo's memory, but it didn't stop Wang Lin's spell. The moment his punch landed, the collapsed world trembled and became distorted as it were being sucked in toward the punch. It was as if Wang Lin's punch had become the center of the world, and even if it was collapsing, it had to rotate with his fist as the center. The world rotated. Only Wang Lin remained unmoving. This caused the expression of old ghost Xian, who was fighting against the EC puppet, to change. His body trembled and he felt a sense of danger. He bit the tip of his tongue and sprayed out blood that tried to devour the EC puppet in order to force it back. Old ghost Xian rushed toward Wang Lin. Before he got close, Wang Lin pulled back his fist and opened his palm before pushing the air in front of him. At the same time, Wang Lin's 8 ancient demon stars in his left eye rotated and flew out with his palm. Demon spell, Wind and Fire Mountain. As the world rotated and distorted, burning wind appeared, forming 8 pillars around Wang Lin. Smoke and dense demonic energy spread out as miserable screams echoed. At the same time, the vague shadow of 8 ancient demons appeared between his pillars. The demons roared, and the pillars rotated around Wang Lin. From afar, these 8 smoking pillars of burning wind fused together seemed to form a storm. Old Ghost John's body rushed into this storm of fire and wind. Thunderous rumble echoed and he was about to force his way inside. However, he didn't have the time. The EC puppet let out a roar and caught up to Old Ghost John. Wang Lin was inside the storm of fire and wind. After one punch and one wave, his right hand stopped in the air. Then he extended his index finger and pointed forward. Devil Dao, Life and Death Reverse. Wang Lin spoke as he pointed at Old Ghost John. The expression of Old Ghost John changed rapidly as he felt the life force in his body quickly turn into a death aura. As Wang Lin pointed, the ancient tomb began to show signs of collapse. Whether it was this layer, the layer below, or the layer above, they were all filled with endless death aura. This death aura was formed by the large amount of life that had died here over the countless years. At this moment, they had all moved due to Wang Lin's spell and all gathered toward Wang Lin. In an instant, the death aura arrived, covering everything. There was so much death aura that it formed a sea. It had turned this rotating world into a dead sea. Inside this death aura, the aura of the ancient devil spread out. One could vaguely hear the howls of ghosts. God, demon, devil, ancient Dao, no celestials. Wang Lin muttered as he opened his palms and gently pushed before. The 3 ancient clans' powers quickly merged inside his body. 9-star ancient god, 9-star ancient devil, 8-star ancient demon. These powers fused together inside Wang Lin to form the ancient Dao power. This was the strongest power Wang Lin possessed. They gathered in Wang Lin's right hand, and as his hand moved forward, a giant shadow appeared before him. This shadow was a head. This head was as large as the world, and it occupied most of the world. It gave off a gloomy and ancient aura. Its appearance was not Yemo or Wang Lin, but a stranger. Wang Lin didn't know who it was, but he had a familiar feeling. This feeling came from his bloodline, from the soul blood he had gotten from the ancient ancestor. If Wang Lin were to go to the ancient Dao clan in the immortal astral continent and see the towering statue that viewed the world with contempt, he would realize that the head that had appeared was the same as that statue. Ancient ancestor. In the distance, Xian Luo's body trembled. He looked at the head with respect. That head's eyes were blurry, and it was impossible to clearly see its eyes. At this moment, it opened its mouth and let out a breath. This breath was like a gust of wind that blew against the world, against Old Ghost John, and against the entire ancient tomb. The violent wind raged and the earth collapsed. Crackling sounds came from the sky of this layer of the ancient tomb. The sky became gray and turned to stone. The earth was covered by gray light and was completely petrified. It was not only this layer. When this aura spread out, the last layer that had no heart left was petrified. Even the layer above, which was covered in fog, and the entire ancient tomb became petrified as the breath spread. Old Ghost John's pupils shrank, filled with shock. His face was pale and retreated like crazy. He even ignored the EC puppet that was chasing him. As he retreated, his hands formed a seal and 7-colored smoke came out from his body, forming the 7-colored soul. At the same time, the second soul also came out, and it was shrouded by the cape. As the cape surrounded him, the ancient Tao breath blew by. The 7-colored soul immediately turned to stone, followed by the second soul. In the end, Old Ghost John's body also petrified with a flash of gray light. Everything seemed to end, but when Old Ghost John and the two souls became petrified, large amounts of cracking sounds echoed. The stone collapsed and the two souls went back into Old Ghost John's body. His body trembled and he coughed out blood as he retreated with horror in his eyes. He was afraid like when Wang Lin held the Li Guang Bao. As he retreated, the petrified sky collapsed and large amounts of spatial rifts appeared. Along with it, the entire ancient tomb collapsed. The black fourth flower suddenly collapsed and turned into a storm as it shattered. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, and he couldn't hold it back, so it sprayed out. He retreated more than 1,000 feet in the collapsed ancient tomb. There was pity and bitterness in Wang Lin's eyes. I used the ancient Tao, no celestial by force, but he still escaped. I don't have the power to use it again anytime soon. If I had the left eye, and my ancient demon was also 9 stars, this battle would not be so difficult. I'm still not his match. Forget it, I'll go to the 5th flower and find the real door to the immortal astral continent. Then I'll open the door and borrow the power from the immortal astral continent to seal him. Wang Lin let out a sigh and disappeared from the collapsing ancient tomb and the core of the cave world. Inside the furnace surrounded by black fog, was the 5 flowers 8 doors formation. The 5 flowers had bloomed and only the 3rd flower had withered, but the 8 doors were integrated inside the 5th flower. It could be anything in the world, whether it was a blade of grass, a tree, a person, a beast. Anything in the world could be the door. As a result, finding the real door among the 8 in the 5th flower was simply too difficult. Wang Lin had no clues, but he still had to enter the 5th flower, the last level of this cave. The 5th flower required the 3rd soul to bloom. The 3rd soul contained all the memories, and once it was absorbed, the 5th flower would change. It would create a world using 7 colored memories. The sky was not blue and seemed to be covered with dark clouds, and behind the dark clouds were 9 suns hanging up in the sky. The suns gave off hot light, but the earth was simply too large. Even with 9 suns, there seemed to be places where the sunlight wouldn't reach. Wind swept across the earth with a sense of humidity, kicking off layers of dust which flew off into the endless mountain range. As the wind howled, it caused large amounts of leaves to rustle. There were many large pavilions and palaces made of jade built within the mountain range. There were over 1,000 buildings that overlapped with the mountains. From afar, it was difficult to tell if the palaces and pavilions were added to the mountains or carved from the mountains. Every palace and pavilion was different. They were spread across the mountain range like a sky temple in the mountains. A thin layer of clouds shrouded the mountain range, making it appear and disappear, adding a layer of mystery. There were hundreds of cranes flying through the clouds as if they were playing around. There seemed to be people sitting on the cranes, but it was impossible to see them clearly due to the clouds. Inside the mountain range there was water flowing. The water had flowed for countless years to form a long river that flowed down the mountains into a pool. The pool branched out into countless different branches. Wang Lin sat on a rock beside the river. He looked at the river and frowned. The sound of a bell was echoing from a distant peak, but he didn't care. He had been in the 5th flower for more than 2 months, but he had found no clues about finding the real door. The river was clear and his reflection could be seen. He wore a blue robe that gave off a faint, green light that contained a certain amount of protection. He also had a red string on his waist with a jade token hanging on it. This jade was crystal clear and it was not ordinary. As it flashed, it was very beautiful. However, the reflection of Wang Lin inside the river was very different from the usual Wang Lin. His appearance: red lips and white teeth, sword-like brows and star-like eyes. In particular, his eyes were deep, as if they contained endless power. People of the same sex were bound to yield, and the opposite sex was bound to admire. He had the appearance of someone around 18 or 19 years old. This was the most handsome person Wang Lin had seen in his life. However, if you were to add the passage of time and the helplessness of life to this face, it would become extremely similar to the statue Wang Lin had taken from greed. Looking at the reflection in the river, Wang Lin still had a strange expression even after he had already spent 2 months here. After entering the fifth flower, which is formed by the 7-colored celestial sovereign's memories, I became him. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze as he sat there and looked up at the sky. In his ears, the bells from the great hall began to echo again. Immortal Astral Continent. This place is the Immortal Astral Continent. I didn't expect to step onto the Immortal Astral Continent first through 7-colored's memory. Wang Lin looked up at the 9 suns in the sky and revealed a bitter smile. This world belonged to the 7-colored celestial sovereign. It was formed by his memories. It could be said that everything here was an illusion, but they were things that existed. The sects of the Immortal Astral Continent are not something the cave world could compare to. Wang Lin touched the Dao robe he was wearing. The protection on it could block the full power attack of an ascendant cultivator. However, how can I find the real door? Perhaps only the third soul knows. My appearance now is due to the third soul as well. But I can tell that I haven't integrated fully with the third soul. I also can't fuse with it. Wang Lin casually reached into the water and scattered some. However, at this moment, he frowned once more. Su Dao, you got guts. The bell has rung twice and you haven't gone to pay your respects to teacher, who just came out from closed-door cultivation. A sharp voice echoed behind Wang Lin. A young man about 20 years old walked down from the mountain wearing the same blue robe as Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin with a cold gaze. I came to catch you and bring you back under the orders of senior brother to be punished by the sect rules. The young man sneered as he approached Wang Lin. He reached toward Wang Lin's hair, apparently wanting to drag Wang Lin by the hair back to the hall. Just as his hands got close, Wang Lin turned around and coldly looked at the young man. This gaze caused the young man to tremble. It was as if Wang Lin's gaze was a pair of swords that stabbed into his soul. This young man's expression suddenly changed and he stood there like a wooden chicken. This only lasted for a moment, and when Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, he resumed breathing. He staggered back several steps and nearly fell. He looked at Wang Lin with fear for the first time. You. In the world of the fifth flower, Wang Lin had taken on the appearance of the young 7-colored celestial sovereign, and also obtained the memories of his early years. He knew that the young 7-colored celestial sovereign had a weak character and wasn't as ambitious and ruthless as he was later. The 7-colored celestial sovereign at this age was very talented, and should have been protected by the sect. However, his teacher was always in closed-door cultivation, and his talent attracted a lot of jealousy. His life in the sect was not good. The young man before him was one that often bullied him. They never did it outright, always acting in secret. They often used the excuse of punishing him by the sect rules. The 7-colored celestial sovereign didn't catch the attention of the ancestor until more than 10 years later. Then he was slowly raised by the sect. However, Wang Lin was not Su Dao, so he wouldn't allow history to pass as usual. As the young man retreated in horror, Wang Lin stepped forward and stood beside the youth. The young man's face turned pale and his eyes were filled with fear. He still couldn't imagine how this had happened. He had been gone for a while and had just come back yesterday. He didn't expect this Su Dao to suddenly become like a different person. Before, Su Dao would be bullied as he wished. You! The young man was about to speak, but his voice was suddenly stopped. Wang Lin grabbed his neck and raised him into the air. His breathing was stopped. His face turned red and he grabbed Wang Lin's arm in an attempt to struggle free. But no matter how much he struggled, Wang Lin had an iron grip that didn't loosen at all. Wang Lin held the young man's neck and pulled him closer. He looked at the young man and said word for word, "Don't provoke me, there is no next time." The young man's vision was already turning blurry, and he was almost scared out of his mind. He wasn't able to manage a nod, but his appearance showed that he would never dare to have a thought about provoking Wang Lin. Wang Lin slowly loosened his hand and smiled. He patted the young man's head and said, "Follow me up the mountain." With that, he turned to walk toward the great hall on the top of the mountain. The young man touched his neck and gasped for air. It took him a while to recover. His eyes were filled with fear and awe. At that moment he had felt death and knew that this Su Dao would have really killed him. While trembling, he quickly followed Wang Lin. The mountain path was winding, and each step was like walking on clouds. Wang Lin walked toward the mountain top as the wind blew at him, causing his long hair to flutter. The smell of the earth entered his heart, and it was very comfortable. With celestial energy nourishing all life, more people are suitable to cultivate into celestials. Even the grass and trees would gain spirit. There are even ferocious beasts that turn human. Although Wang Lin knew that this celestial energy and smell were all fake, that just meant that the real immortal astral continent was truly like this. It was completely different from the cave world. There were dark clouds in the sky, and as more dark clouds gathered, they began to collide. Thunderous rumbles echoed as lightning moved through the clouds like silver snakes. "It's about to rain." Wang Lin arrived at the top of the mountain as he muttered and saw the magnificent hall at the top. The hall was more than 1,000 feet tall and stood there like a giant beast. Outside the temple, there was a square more than 10,000 feet large, and in the middle was a huge furnace. There were 9 arm-thick incense sticks burning, with green smoke flying into the air. At this moment there were nearly 100 cultivators standing on the square. They were in groups of 2 and 3 talking to each other. The moment Wang Lin entered the square, the thunder in the sky rumbled and big drops of rain fell. The rain formed a curtain that even the figures of people became a blur. The rain fell on the square, making the rain sound even louder. In an instant, the entire square was covered in flowing rain and the ripples created when the raindrops landed. The rain quickly fell and the voices became even more intense. However, the 9 incense sticks were still burning and showed no signs of extinguishing. The smoke continued to rise, and no matter how fast the rain fell, it was unable to make the smoke dissipate. The smoke mixed with the rain, creating a very beautiful image. It was like a dream. As the rain fell, an umbrella was held up above Wang Lin's head. It was the young man that had followed Wang Lin. The young man had an embarrassed expression and decided to simply not to look at Wang Lin as he held up the umbrella. In the square there were nearly 100 cultivators and they all looked over. There was a group led by a young man in a black robe. They frowned and were about to shout when the third bell rang. As the bell rang, the smoke that floated in the air distorted and gathered to form a vortex. As the vortex rotated, it pushed the rain aside. A blurry figure slowly appeared inside the vortex. The figure walked out and stood in the sky. "Welcome back from closed-door cultivation, teacher." The surrounding cultivators, numbering almost 100, clasped their hands at the figure. He was a middle-aged man who had a head of black hair scattered on his shoulders. He was not handsome, but he had a strange temperament and an otherworldly aura. As he stood in the sky, his gaze swept past his disciples below. When he saw Wang Lin and the youth that was still holding the umbrella behind Wang Lin, he couldn't help but frown. However, he soon smiled. "Su Dao, Zhou, the 2 of you follow teacher to the hall. The rest of you can leave." The middle-aged man's words were soft. He stepped into the air and walked into the hall. The young man in black, who was the leader of the people that wanted to reprimand Wang Lin, nodded with a serious expression. He looked at Wang Lin and walked toward the hall. Wang Lin's expression was calm. In the memories he had obtained from the third soul, his teacher was very good to him. If not for the fact that his teacher was always in closed-door cultivation, he wouldn't be suffering unfair treatment in the sect. In the early years, Seven Colored's personality was cowardly, and he never said these things. As for Zhou, he was Seven Colored's senior brother who was also very talented. On the surface, he was gentle, but in truth, he felt contempt toward Seven Colored. He ignored all the people bullying Seven Colored. Stepping into the rain, Wang Lin walked into the hall under everyone's jealous gazes. Inside the hall, the middle-aged man was sitting on a chair, and Zhou was respectfully standing on the side. "Teacher won't be out of closed-door cultivation for long. After I settle a few matters, I'll go back into closed-door cultivation," the middle-aged man spoke slowly. His gaze swept past Zhou and Wang Lin before silently pondering. Wang Lin had seen this in the memories from the third soul. He knew that after Su Dao's teacher told them a few things, He would teach Su Dao and Zhou Li an art. This was one of the 3 most powerful arts of the Donglin sect, the introduction to the Cloud Dao heavenly art. If one could reach the peak of this art, they could learn its essence. The introductory art was short, but it was mysterious, and not everyone could cultivate it. Once the introductory art had been used, clouds would appear. If the clouds were thin, then that person was not suited to learn the art. If clouds were dense and a shadow appeared within them, then it would be for the best. In addition, the time it took to complete it was also tested. Over the countless years in the Donglin sect, the people that obtained the qualification the fastest had taken 7 breaths, while the slowest had taken several hours. Back then, when Seven Colored was learning this technique, he was scared by Zhou Li's cold gaze and hesitated. His speed slowed down and he took 20 breaths to complete a cycle, and Zhou Li completed it in 11 breaths. Due to Zhou Li's cold gaze, his mind wasn't focused and he wasn't able to produce a lot of clouds, causing him to be suppressed by Zhou Li. Then a shadow appeared from within Zhou Li's clouds and devoured all of Su Dao's clouds. Seven Colored's teacher saw this and let out a sigh. He no longer taught Su Dao one of the 3 great arts of the Donglin sect, but taught him the 7-colored celestial art that was lower in rank. Wang Lin knew this from the memories he had obtained, and it seemed impossible to change. Today this scene appeared once more. Wang Lin stood there and silently pondered. He didn't know if he should follow the memory and suffer the same as 7-Color did back then, or go against the memory and change everything. According to logic, he should follow the 7-Colored's memory so he could fuse with the 3rd soul even more. Perhaps he would eventually fuse enough to know where the real door was, but he didn't know if this would happen or not. Also, Wang Lin didn't want to fully integrate with the 3rd soul. If he did this, Xianxia would never be able to awaken. The moment Wang Lin fully integrated with the 3rd soul, Xianxia would disappear and Wang Lin would become the new 7-Colored. In addition, Wang Lin wasn't willing to act like this. This art is one of the 3 most powerful arts of the Donglin sect. It is called the Cloud Dao Heavenly Art. Your cultivation levels aren't high enough to learn it, so you must learn the introductory art first. However, there is a restriction to learning this art. Only one person from each lineage in that generation can learn it. Today, I chose the 2 of you to find the person who is most suitable for this art. The middle-aged man's voice echoed. He began to talk about the selection method, including the intensity of the clouds and the time it took to complete a cycle. Zhou Li's head was lowered. His eyes were filled with desire he found hard to hide. The heavenly Dao was damaged and it will take a long time to repair, the middle-aged man slowly said. Then he taught the introductory art. Then he waved his right hand and 2 clouds flew out and entered Wang Lin and Zhou Li's bodies. The clouds have entered your bodies. The 2 of you have to immediately sit down and cycle the clouds as fast as possible. The first to succeed will have the advantage. During this process, the 2 of you must focus and not be disturbed by external thoughts. As the middle-aged man spoke, Zhou Li immediately sat down. Wang Lin also sat down. Just as he was about to cycle the cloud inside his body, Zhou Li looked up at Wang Lin. His gaze was grim and threatening. The middle-aged man naturally saw this and frowned. He didn't say anything and instead looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a sigh in his heart. It was this gaze that made the timid Su Dao lose his qualification. However, today he was not Su Dao but Wang Lin. As Zhou Li's gaze swept by, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and casually looked at Zhou Li. This gaze caused Zhou Li to tremble. He clearly felt a killing intent come from Wang Lin's eyes, causing his mind to tremble. At this moment, Wang Lin had already closed his eyes, and the cloud energy was rapidly cycling in his body. Zhou Li quickly closed his eyes as well. Time slowly passed. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. When the 8th breath arrived, large amounts of clouds spread out from Wang Lin's body. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up and he suddenly stood up. The clouds around Wang Lin's body became even more dense until they enveloped most of the hall. The clouds churned and faint roars could be heard from within. At this moment it was the 20th breath, and Zhou Li had barely managed to cycle the cloud once to produce some clouds. However, compared to Wang Lin, it was simply too insignificant. The moment the clouds came out of his body, the clouds from Wang Lin's body raged and formed a giant dragon head. This dragon head was fierce and its eyes were filled with a fierce gaze as it devoured Zhou Li. The clouds around Zhou Li were absorbed rapidly by the dragon. He coughed out blood and looked weakened. The memory had been changed. The moment it was reversed, the great hall became distorted. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Lin while completely ignoring Zhou Li, and his figure also began to distort. At the same time, the square outside the hall, the mountain outside the square, the mountain range outside the mountain, and the Donglin sect outside the mountain range all began to distort. It was as if the entire world was about to collapse. This was the shocking scene that unfolded after the memory was changed. Good. Su Dao, you're the second person under your teacher's lineage that has the qualification to learn the Cloud Dao heavenly art. The middle-aged man laughed as his figure became distorted. He looked at the terrified Zhou Li and spoke once more. Zhou Li, although you don't have the qualification to learn the Cloud Dao heavenly art, teacher will teach you the seven-colored celestial art. When the middle-aged man's words echoed, a tearing pain appeared in Wang Lin's mind, as if everything was going to collapse. The aura of the 8 doors suddenly appeared but quickly dissipated. Following that, the distortion slowly disappeared and returned to normal. However, a huge wave was set off in Wang Lin's heart. I understand. Change the 7-colored celestial sovereign's memories to create contradictions, and the moments of confusion will allow me to sense the 8 doors. The greater the contradiction and confusion, the clearer the feeling. I can even use it to find the real door. This is my other method. Change the 7-colored celestial sovereign's memories. Su Dao, you have to spend time practicing this spell. In 5 months, the competition between those of your generation in the Dongling sect will begin. The top 10 can enter the Donglin pool. If you can enter, your future achievements will be immeasurable. Everything had changed. Wang Lin suddenly looked up.